Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. My childhood sweethearts are actually game bosses. Chapter 81. What did you call me? Lang Yuaning was furious. Who is Aunt? Yeezy was stunned. But, my teacher said that you are more than 1,000 years older than me. Then what else? Grandma Yuaning. Lang Yuaning. She couldn't refute it for a moment. Hateful. It's that Lan Mi again. Snort. Lang Yuaning turned sideways and hummed expressionlessly. However, she couldn't help but take a few more glances out of the corner of her eye, and carefully looked at the boy in front of her. His eyebrows are clear, fair and handsome, like a young boy walking out of a painting. I didn't expect that a little boy could look so good-looking, even as good as Zaire's appearance when he was a child. This Lan Mi, could it be that he accepted this boy as his disciple because he was good-looking? You're just joking, Palace Master Lang, don't be offended. Yeezy smiled faintly, then put away his childish smile, clasping his hands like a little adult. But I'm curious, why does Palace Master Lang appear here? Lang Yuaning was embarrassed for a moment. Of course, she couldn't be embarrassed to talk about her experience of standing at the gate of Yeezy all night. She turned her head and said expressionlessly, of course I happened to be passing by here. Just passing by. Yes, I just arrived in Night City, and I originally wanted to visit your Yi family. Lang Yuaning said lightly, in this assessment, you can be regarded as helping Zaire once. This time, I also want to visit you. It's a return of your favor. Favor. Yeezy looked around. Where is it? Lang Yuaning frowned. The assassin leader just now, if I hadn't been here, he would have let him escape, right? Why don't you repay your favor? Yeezy smiled faintly. These killers have been discovered by my people since they sneaked into Night City yesterday. How could I let them escape? In fact, he had already asked the shadow troops to lay out a triple siege in the entire surrounding area near the amusement park. Even if the Black Beast had just escaped, there would still be 2 layers of siege waiting for him. In short, there was no way he could leave Night City alive. Lang Yuaning was surprised. Yesterday, so you have already discovered these assassins before they ambush at the gate of your Yi family last night. Yes, we are just fishing for law enforcement. Lang Yuaning fell silent. Unexpectedly, the little devil of the Yi family already has such a palace at such a young age. But, Palace Master Lang, didn't you say that you just arrived in Night City and happened to pass by? Yeezy looked at her doubtfully. Then how did you know that these killers were squatting in front of my house all night? Lang Yuaning's expression froze for a moment. This. Looking at Lang Yuaning's expression, Yeezy suddenly remembered the character of the 1,000-year-old housewife in the world of immortality in the game plot, and said playfully, could it be that Palace Master Lang arrived last night just like them, but because I forgot to bring my entourage, I don't know how to communicate with others, so I haven't had the nerve to ring the doorbell, right? Lang Yuaning. Assassination, circle dot operator hollow down pointing triangle circle dot operator The roots of my ears instantly burned red, and the temperature of my cheeks rose in vain. How can it be? Lang Yuaning deliberately made a disdainful look, hiding her inner feelings in a panic. I am the master of the Yuaning Palace, the largest immortal cultivation sect in the human race. A strong man at the peak of the apocalypse realm. How could it be? How? Maybe it's like what you said. Like a shy woman who has never met a stranger. Yeezy. Well, that's true. But Palace Master Lang personally came to visit me in Night City today. It shouldn't be just for this matter, right? Lang Yuaning opened her mouth and was about to say something. At this time, Gao Shenzhou and Sha Xiao happened to come over with Yeezy. Sha Xiao ran over, saw Lang Yuaning, and said doubtfully, who is this beautiful sister? Lang Yuaning saw Yeezy behind Gao Shenzhou with a dazed look on his face. Her beautiful eyes suddenly flashed. Is this little girl Yeezy? Well, yes, Yeezy said lightly. She is a prisoner captured by the demons that I rescued in the Black Abyss secret realm before. Just like the information you received, Lord Lang, she possesses the ancient forest sacred beast. His supernatural talent bloodline, Life Mu Ling. Lang Yuaning. I didn't expect it to be really ancient, She suddenly felt something was wrong and looked at Yeezy in shock. How did you know I was here for? She obviously hasn't said anything yet. Yeezy smiled and said, although you didn't say it out loud, all your thoughts are already written on your face. As soon as he saw Yeezy, Lang Yuaning said her name, which must have been investigated. And the reason why she would investigate a girl captured by the demons could only be because of the ancient superpower bloodline in her body. Not hard to guess at all. Frankly speaking, you are really easy to read. Yi Zhe smiled and said, although you are the lord of the first palace, you are really more innocent than I thought. Quote. Simple and innocent. Lang Yuaning's little fists clenched. Is this little devil praising me or mocking me? Lang Yuaning looked at Yi Zhe's beautiful face with a smile. This child looks shy and well behaved, but there really is a little devil living in his heart. Humph, he is indeed the student of that woman Lan Mi, even his character is the same bad. Now that you have seen the purpose of my coming, I won't beat around the bush. Lang Yuaning said expressionlessly, you can make a condition. Condition, of course it's that kid. Oh, you mean, you want to ask me to raise a price and then buy this child away, just like buying a commodity. Don't talk nonsense. I mean, Lang Yuaning frowned. She originally wanted to say that she wanted to save this child and get her out of the Yi family's clutches. But halfway through speaking, she suddenly felt a little unable to continue. Before coming here, the Night City she imagined was not like this. Night City, as a border city-state ruled by demons, should have been gloomy and dark in her previous fantasy. For example, the sky was completely filled with a thick atmosphere of darkness, and the sun could not be seen all day long. The city-state was surrounded by a bottomless moat. The water was as black as ink, with red foam occasionally gushing out, and countless pale skeletons floating on the river. The people living here suffered from fear and despair, and were forced to sacrifice everything for the Yi family under the dark rule of the demonic people. But now that I have come here, I feel that this place is not as bad as the rumors said. And the little girl named Yeezy didn't look so miserable. He even put on a new set of clean clothes, carried many toys with him, and was taken to the magic paradise by Yi Zhe and the others to play. Where does he look like he has been bullied? Lang Yuaning frowned. What exactly is going on? Actually, there are no conditions at all to take people away from me. Yi Zhe shrugged. As long as Yeezy wants to go with you, I don't care. Really? Lang Yuaning's eyes lit up. Yi Zhe. Well, of course, I never deliberately keep people who want to leave me. After hearing this, Lang Yuaning immediately came to Yeezy. She bent slightly, squatted down, and showed a kind smile. Kid, how about following my sister? My sister will lead you to practice and become an immortal like my sister. Ang. Yeezy's cute expression was stunned, and then he shook his head violently. No. Lang Yuaning was stunned for a moment. Why? Why? Yeezy ran in a circle from behind Gao Shenzhou to behind Yi Zhe, grabbing Yi Zhe's clothes with only half of his head exposed. I am already young Master Yi Zhe's servant. Lang Yuaning's expression was complicated. You, follow me to cultivate immortality and become a respected immortal who can turn clouds and rain with just a raise of your hand. Isn't that better than being a servant or a servant? Yeezy still shook his head violently like a rattle. I don't want to be admired by others, and I don't want to change the world. I will help Master Yej do big things in the future. So I can't go with you. The little girl grabbed Yej's clothes tighter. Quote. Lang Yuaning's expression was complicated. If Yeezy hadn't stood in front of her alive, she would have thought that Yi Zhe's dark illusion had controlled his mind. But this little girl's eyes are clear and innocent. How does she look like she's been controlled by an illusion? Could it be that this little girl is too young and cannot tell the difference between a cultivator and a servant? Yi Zhe smiled. Palace Master Lang, Yeezy has already made her choice. Quote. Lang Yuaning sighed softly. All right. In that case, I won't force it. Put this thing away. It's a gift from me. Lang Yuaning gave a green jade pendant to Yeezy. Oh. Yeezy stretched out his hands blankly and took the piece of jade. Lang Yuaning then turned to look at Yi Zhe. She raised her hand and waved, and a ball of light slowly floated out. These are 100 spirit gathering pills. Even if it's a thank you gift for helping Zaire in the secret realm dungeon. Thank you. Yi Zhe also waved his hand unceremoniously and put the light group into his system inventory. Then he said with a serious face, don't worry, Palace Master Lang. Since I accepted your gift, I will definitely not tell you that you are a shy person who dare not even ring the doorbell. Lang Yuaning, you don't talk nonsense. I am not a social terror. Yi Zhe nodded seriously. Yes, I believe it. Lang Yuaning. The sun slowly set on the distant horizon. The crimson sunset spread across the entire sky from the west, as bright as blood. On top of the tea house in Wanjian City, Chu Wan and Yi Shangshang have been sitting here all day. Li had already sent a message back to them in the morning. Yi Zhe, Gao Shenzhu, Sha Xiao, and an unknown little girl went to a magic amusement park together. Black Horse has already arranged for other killers to arrange multiple serial assassination plans at the scene, and is ready to take action against him. Chu Wan was very happy when he heard the news came back. Magic amusement park, hee, it seems that the little devil in the Yi family is still a child after all. That kind of lively and crowded place is the best place to create chaos and then carry out assassinations in the chaos. Originally, what Chu Wan was most worried about was that Yej would stay at Yejia until Monday, when he would be driven to the Yasin City War College by the Yejia's housekeeper. In that case, Black Bull and the others would have no chance to take action. Zhanjiang Academy is Lan Mi's territory, and there is no chance of taking action. But now, a perfect opportunity undoubtedly fell from the sky. In Chu Wan's eyes, Yi Zhe is already a dead person. After all, Black Tiger is a killer in the Shira realm. In such a chaotic scene, killing a kid from the mysterious realm is something that can be done with just one thought. However, after the news came back from Haihu in the morning, the entire killer team completely lost their news. No more news came back. Chu Wan knew very well that if Black Bull succeeded, he would definitely send a message back to him as soon as possible to inform him. In this situation, there is only one possibility. That means Black Bull's assassination failed. Not even a single killer from the entire killer team came back with news. This shows that Haihu and the others not only failed, but were even completely annihilated. They all fell into the hands of Yi family's group of people. Chu Wan's hands trembled slightly, and he accidentally pinched a crack in the white jade teacup in his hand. Master Yi, Chu Wan asked solemnly, are you sure that the secret sentry layout plan you gave is correct? Sure, Yi Shangshang frowned. He has been sitting here for so long and has already guessed the outcome. It seems that the assassination sent by Chu Wan failed. Chu Wan took a deep breath. He raised his neck, drank all the tea in the cup, and then placed the cup heavily on the table. It seems we don't have to wait any longer. There is no doubt that the mission has failed. Yi Shangshang frowned. Didn't you say that you sent assassins from the Asura realm? And there were more than a dozen assassins from the Thousand Soul realm to help, plus my secret sentry layout, to assassinate a little ghost head from the Zan realm. How could it fail? How do I know? Chu Wan's expression looked a little gloomy. He has been very cautious and sent Mr. Hailu to take action personally. Unexpectedly, such an accident would happen. Thinking of losing a dozen Thousand Soul realm subordinates and one Shira realm subordinate all at once, he immediately felt extremely distressed. Then, Yi Shangshang paused and asked nervously, those killers you sent out will not betray us, right? That's not true. Chu Wan let out a deep breath and said, Hailu and the others are all professional killers, and they all know that once the mission fails, they must commit suicide. Each of them has a special toxin hidden in their bodies. As long as they use specific martial arts techniques, this toxin will quickly spread throughout their bodies, killing them immediately in just a few seconds. Yi Shangshang breathed a sigh of relief after hearing this. Really, that's good. Chu Wan was afraid of revenge from the Yi family. As a member of the Yi family, Yi Shangshang was of course more aware of the terror of the Yi family. If Grandpa finds out about this, it's no joke. Quote. Chu Wan said no more, feeling a little uneasy in his heart. Although, it is true to say that, Black Bull and the others will definitely commit suicide after their failure. But, why does he always have an ominous premonition in his heart? Night's dungeon. It was dark and damp, and the torches on the wall were dancing with dim green light. Yi Ji's figure appeared from the darkness at the end of the dungeon passage. He was accompanied by a tall jailer. Young master, you are right here. The jailer opened a cell door. The cell was dark and smelled of something rotten. There are dozens of black iron chains on the wall, tightly binding a man. It is Haihu. Li had already woken up, with several brand marks on his face. As soon as he woke up, He tried to use his soul power again to activate the toxins in his body. But it still failed. Every time he tried to use his soul power, the marks on his face would burn like fire, making his soul miserable. Yeezy said, "Don't waste your efforts. Do you know why there are no lights here, but these green torches? Because these netherworld flames, as well as the prisoner's mark on your face, will together produce the power to suppress the concentration of human soul power. Even if you are in the Shira realm, as long as you are locked up here, you will be no different from an ordinary person." Quote. Hei Lai's mouth moved, and his voice was dry and hoarse. "I won't say a single word." "Oh, he's a tough guy, right? He has the professionalism of a killer." Yeezy walked up and said, "It doesn't matter, I don't plan to ask you, I will talk directly to your head." Saying that, Yeezy stretched out his hand to strangle Hei Lai's face. "Ling Ling, I'll leave it to you. I'll give you something delicious to eat when I go back." Yeezy rubbed his cheek against the kitten on his shoulder. The white blood lying on his shoulder suddenly rolled his eyes. "Hey, this is the only time you will think of me." However, although the white blood spirit finally curled his lips, obeyed obediently, stared at the black beast's eyes with his scarlet eyes, and used the pupil technique. Blood spirit illusion. Under the influence of the blood spirit illusion, Black Bull's pupils suddenly became dilated. Less than 3 minutes, tears kept flowing from his eyes. The facial expressions became increasingly hysterical, constantly wailing in pain, as if experiencing something extremely painful. 15 minutes later, in the midst of his psychedelic dream, Hailu took in everything. Really, Chu Wan and Yi Shengshang hooked up. Yeezy was not particularly surprised by this result, so he didn't have any big reaction. After being freed from the blood spirit illusion, Black Horse passed out again. Yeezy turned around and asked the jailer, "Is everything recorded?" "Yes, recorded," said the jailer. After Yi Quan watched the interrogation video, he was silent for a long time. Yi Xiao and Zhou Yuqing looked at each other, but neither of them spoke. "I didn't expect that Katsuo would do such a stupid thing in the end." Yi Quan sighed, with a hint of sadness in his light gray eyes. "He is his grandson after all. To say that there is no feeling at all would be a lie." Yi Quan clasped his hands behind his back and looked at Yeezy. "During the birthday banquet, you already discovered his betrayal, why didn't you report it?" Yeezy said calmly, "My cousin is actually also a very cautious person. The moment I caught him drugging him, he had already used his soul power to turn the medicine in his hand into nothingness, so I have no evidence. Even if you are willing to believe me, my uncle is still your son, and my cousin is also your grandson. If I talk nonsense without evidence, it will only make it difficult for you. Actually, after the birthday party, I had the opportunity to get rid of him directly. But if I kill him directly without any evidence, I will definitely arouse the anger of my uncle and his family. Several of my father's other brothers and sisters will definitely use this as an excuse to impeach my father as the head of the family. Yes, the Yi family is actually not united. As a family of demons, the genes of fighting, bravery, and unwillingness to admit defeat are engraved in the blood. The children passed down by grandfather Yi Quan have more than a dozen bloodlines, and every demon with the surname Yi has a temperament that will never admit defeat. Whether it is treating outsiders or treating one's own people. Moreover, the Yi family does not pay much attention to the difference between direct and collateral lines. As long as you have the blood of the Yi family and are strong enough and capable enough, then you are qualified to compete for the position of clan leader. This also makes the competition for the position of clan leader more intense. When Yi Xiao was able to stand out from more than a dozen direct and collateral descendants of the Yi family and become the last family patriarch, he naturally came from a road full of conspiracy, blood and withered bones. Although the Yi family, a family of demonized people, has always been called a group of war lunatics by the outside world, in fact, if any of the Yi family's children really only have killing all at once in their minds, such people may be the worst within the family. He has been eliminated and cannot see outsiders at all. Yi Quan looked at Yeezy, nodded with satisfaction, and showed a kind smile. It's rare that you have so many thoughts, but you can actually tell Grandpa in private. Don't you think Grandpa won't believe you? Hey, I know Grandpa loves me the most. Yeezy smiled innocently like a child. but I don't think it's necessary, because I believe that after I made such a fuss with my cousin that night, you would have noticed it, at least one of the chefs had seen it, right? You would have investigated. After you complete the investigation, you will definitely have a bottom line in your mind. Although you still have no evidence, having a bottom line in your heart is enough for you. Quote. Yi Quan looked at Yi Zhe and was silent for a long time. The future life is terrible. Yi Quan secretly said this in his heart. Then he turned around, walked slowly to the window, looked out at the moonlight in the distance with his hands behind his back, and didn't speak for a long time. No one knew what he was thinking. Yi Xiao said, "Father, about this matter." Yi Shengsheng naturally does not need to discuss it anymore. The elders who knew the situation but acquiesced to his behavior and provided him with the layout drawings of the secret sentry were naturally not able to escape the blame. Yi Quan closed his eyes and said calmly, "Go ahead and do whatever you want. You are the head of the Yi family now, so you don't have to ask me anymore." The Yi family always had only one attitude towards traitors. Yi Xiao also understood what his father meant and stopped talking nonsense. Okay. 3 days later, Yi Shengsheng's father and everyone in his lineage, including all his confidants and subordinates, all disappeared from the Yi family. Yi Shengsheng escaped this disaster because he was not at Yi's house at the time. Yeezy City, in a dilapidated rental house. Yi Shengsheng is hiding here. He has been hiding here for several days. At this moment, his face was pale, his lips were purple, and his hands were holding his hair and shaking slightly. As expected, those killers fell into the hands of Yeezy and the others. Chu Wan, this idiot. Didn't he say that those killers are all professional assassins, and they will definitely commit suicide if they miss something? Yi Shengsheng knew very well that now that the matter was exposed, the Yi family would definitely not let him go. The demonized mutant family has always had zero tolerance for betrayers, so Yi Shengsheng didn't even think about going back to beg his grandfather for mercy. He knew that as long as he returned to Night City now, he could only have one end. No, it's not just Yi City now, he doesn't even dare to show his face now. Even in Yeezy City, Yi Shengsheng feels extremely unsafe. Yi Xiao will definitely send a killer to deal with him, this will prevent future troubles. That person has always been so cruel and ruthless. In the past few nights, whenever night fell, Yi Shengsheng would tremble, always feeling that he was living in danger. There seemed to be something indescribable in the darkness outside the window of the room watching him coldly. Yi Shengsheng didn't dare to go to the Zan Academy, and Principal Lan Mi would definitely not protect him, a student with only a passing rating. He only dares to hide in this rental house now, and he doesn't dare to use the money in his personal account, because he knows that once he uses Yeezy, he will know where others are. Even this dilapidated rental house was snatched by him after killing a civilian couple. After being out of the sun for several days, Yi Shengsheng barely ate a morsel of food because he couldn't eat at all. The beard on his face had not been shaved for several days, making him look a bit slovenly. How could he look like a romantic young man? Look like. He was sweating almost all the time, and hallucinations often appeared in front of his eyes, as if he was about to have a mental breakdown. When did my mental strength become so bad? Yi Shengsheng rubbed his head vigorously. He bit his lip, blood spilled out, and forced himself to calm down. Yi Shengsheng knew very well that if he continued to stay here, the only path waiting for him would be death. We have to think of a way to defect to Duke Wong. No, this is obviously impossible. He has no use value now. That old fox Wong will never take him in. It would be good if he is not silenced. Go to the Chu family. I'm afraid Chu Wan himself is panicking to death now. Yi Shengsheng thought about it and felt that the only way to leave Qin was to leave. Yes, if you can leave the human empire, there are so many nations, and if you escape to a neutral alien territory, there might be a glimmer of hope. And before leaving, Yi Shengsheng's eyes were fierce. He must kill Yi Zhe. Yi Zhe has been practicing in the academy under the personal guidance of Principal Lan Mi these days. After receiving the training courses from the principal for a few days, Yi Zhe realized that although this beautiful female principal seemed to be a fun-loving person and always had a smile on her face, she was really a devil when it came to the training courses for her direct students. The number of Yeezy's courses and the intensity of training are almost 20 times higher than before. Yes, you read that right, 20 times. Lan Mi has added almost all the subjects of the extraordinary profession to his study curriculum. Martial arts, archer, mechanical, magic, superpower, immortal cultivation, beast control, auxiliary, mutation, ghost control, none of them are missing. From basic theoretical knowledge to the practical application of soul power, spiritual power, magic power, fighting spirit and other energy. Even Yeej didn't know how his teacher thought he could learn so many things. But rigorous training naturally has its benefits. In just a few days, Yeej made another breakthrough. His level has been upgraded from the 7th stage of the Zon realm to the 8th stage of the Zon realm. In such a short period of time, you have already jumped several levels. Lan Mi's fingertips patted Yeej's cheek gently. Xiao Yeej, you seem to have many secrets that the teacher doesn't know. Song of the Night. It's all thanks to the top-quality spirit gathering pill you gave me, teacher. Lan Mi rolled her eyes at him. Don't do this. Even if you take 10 top-quality spirit gathering pills, and the effects of these pills can all be superimposed, it is impossible to have this effect. Song of the Night. Forget it, I have no intention of forcing you to question me. Lan Mi smiled softly. How much have you mastered the 3rd-level magic pyroblast technique I taught you yesterday? Yeej thought for a while. I've basically mastered it. Lan Mi's eyes lit up. That's right, then you can demonstrate it to me. With that said, the headmistress raised her hand and snapped her fingers crisply. 3 heavenly battle dolls slowly rose up from the ground. I'll give you a test question. Lan Mi said with a smile. You are only allowed to use the skill once, but you have to kill all 3 combat dolls with heavenly strength. If you succeed, the teacher will promise you something, as long as it is something that the teacher can do. Yeej didn't pay much attention to the reward promised by the teacher. He was already thinking quickly about how to complete this question and murmured, use only 1 skill to kill 3 heavenly dolls. If you want to kill 3 heaven realm dolls with 1 skill, the first reaction seems to be to let these dolls stand in the same small area and use the explosion diffusion power of Pyroblast to kill them. Pyroblast is a 3rd-level magic skill, an advanced magic of fireball. Normally, only magicians in the Earth realm can learn to perform this skill. Yeej is now at the 8th level of the Zon realm. He can forcefully use the Pyroblast technique, which is a cross-level use. Using skills across levels is nothing unusual in the genius world. In fact, many geniuses in the academy can do it. It can almost be said to be a standard configuration for a genius. Among the inner core students of the Imperial War College, anyone who cannot use skills across levels will feel embarrassed. But the problem is that there is a price to pay for using skills across levels. First of all, the power will definitely be reduced, and the MP consumption will be huge. Considering these 2 points, using skills across levels is somewhat meaning that the gain outweighs the loss. Therefore, even if many geniuses can use it, they generally will not choose to do so in battle. It has little practical attributes, and the attributes used for bragging are the highest. When Yeej uses skills across levels, the power of Pyroblast should logically be reduced. But now he has to face this seemingly impossible test at the same time. Not only must he use skills across levels, but he must also kill 3 heavenly dolls across 2 levels. Yeej pondered for a long time, seemed to have thought of a countermeasure, and said, okay, I understand. Come on. Don't be so anxious, I haven't finished speaking yet. Lan Mi narrowed his eyes, I just said rewards, not punishments yet. If you win, of course the teacher will give you a reward. But if you fail, you will be spanked 100 times by me. Song of the Night. Yeej showed a confused expression. Teacher, this, isn't it appropriate? Oh, it's okay, don't be afraid. Lan Mi said seriously. And I will hit you very gently, never too hard. Song of the Night. Even if no force is used, it is still very embarrassing for a 10-year-old boy to be spanked, okay. Yeej took a deep breath. Okay, I'll try. Buzz. The bodies of the 3 heavenly realm battle dolls moved, and their joints made a clicking sound. Immediately afterwards, their eyes suddenly turned red, as if they were locked on Yeej. Lan Mi floated to the side, sat down comfortably on the sofa in the corner, tapped her fingers lightly in the air, and said with a smile, it's begun. I saw 3 Heavenly Realm battle dolls moving one after another, and then launched an attack on Yeezy. Yeezy didn't move at first, calmly observing the movements of the 3 dolls. So fast. Moreover, their attack angles are completely different, and there is no way to use the spread range of Pyroblast to kill them all in one blow. Yeezy still didn't move. One of the combat dolls had already rushed in front of him, jumped up high, and kicked him in the face. Yeezy didn't intend to fight it head-on. He ducked sideways quickly to avoid the puppet's downward kick attack that directly cracked the floor. Call. At the same time, a ball of hot flames suddenly flew towards his ears. Song of the night. He saw a red light in his peripheral vision, and immediately lowered his body, letting the fireball bounce past him. One of these battle dolls is actually a magician. Yeezy frowned. Originally, he thought that the 3 combat dolls should all be warrior-type dolls. After all, the Academy's warrior-type dolls are standard and relatively cheap. I didn't expect that there are even magician types. This will make it even more difficult to handle. If the 3 combat dolls are all warrior types, by pulling in the details, you might be able to find an opportunity to have the 3 of them concentrated in the same area. But a warrior plus a magician means that one of them is melee and the other is long range. It is completely impossible for them to stand in the same area. While Yeezy avoided the warrior doll's attack and the magician doll's fireball attack, the gunman doll hiding further away immediately picked up a large caliber rifle and pointed it at Yeezy continuously. A few more shots. The fierce bullets hit his feet with a clanging sound, but they were also dodged by Yeezy's nimble movements. Warrior, add a magician, and add a gunner. Combat dolls of 3 professions are equivalent to opening up 3 lines of attack at once. While Yeezy was busy dealing with the attacks of the 3 dolls, he thought to himself, it's more difficult than imagined. Not only that, the movements of these 3 battle dolls don't seem to be as simple and stupid as ordinary dolls. They will even cooperate with each other tactically, not giving Yeezy any angle or chance at all. Yeezy felt huge pressure and could not find a chance to make a move, so he could only avoid it. He turned to look at Lan Mi, who was watching the battle. I saw Lan Mi sitting on the soft sofa with her legs crossed. The slender white jade fingers of her right hand placed on Hesse's thigh were moving gently from time to time. A few light blue souls could be vaguely seen. Thin lines of force connected to her fingertips. Only then did Yeezy understand. It turns out that Lan Mi is controlling these battle dolls. Yeezy, teacher, that's so despicable. You cheated. Lan Mi blinked her beautiful blue eyes. Where is the cheating? I didn't say these combat dolls were AI at the beginning. Song of the night. What's wrong? Do you want to give up? Lan Mi said with a smile. It's not impossible to give up. The teacher won't blame you. It's just a small punishment for Xiao Yeezy. Even if you fail, the teacher will not be disappointed with you. Quote. Yeezy exhaled helplessly. Meeting such a naughty teacher is really. Call. Another bright fireball came towards Yeezy. Yeezy came back to his senses and dodged again. The 3 combat dolls continued to cooperate and launched a series of combo attacks on Yeezy. It had already been suppressed by 2 major levels. Coupled with Lan Mi's control and the cooperation of different professions, the difficulty level was simply upgraded from hell level to heartbreaking hell level. Not to mention restricting the use of only one skill. Even if there were no restrictions at all, Yeezy might not be absolutely sure that he could beat these dolls. Even under the fierce attack of these 3 battle dolls, it is not easy to delay being defeated for so long. Lan Mi held his chin in one hand and looked at the fighting situation in the training ground. It's not bad. I lasted longer than I thought. Single quote. Originally I thought that with Xiao Yeezy's ability, I should only be able to hold on for about a minute. Single quote. I didn't expect he could hold on for so long. Single quote. This kid can really give me a lot of surprises. Single quote. Ding ding ding. Another series of bullets hit Yeezy's side, sputtering out sparks. As Yeezy moved around, he quickly observed the position and casting speed of the 3 combat dolls. Although they are dolls controlled by the teacher himself, their skill casting speed is still no different from ordinary Heavenly Realm battle dolls. Single quote. After the magician casts the fireball technique, it will take about 5 seconds before he can cast the next skill. Single quote. The rifle in the gunman's hand seems to be the standard M79 of the Imperial Law Enforcement Officer, with a 20-round magazine, and the reloading speed is fixed at 3.5 seconds, because it is a doll, the reloading speed is almost the same every time. Single quote. If you are looking for a gap period, it should only be a short moment. Single quote. It seems that this is the only way. Yeezy stared at the attack gap where the magician doll and the gunman doll were reloading and skill seeding at the same time. He suddenly jumped up, quickly circled back, and came to the back of the gunman doll. The palm of his right hand was facing up, and he instantly gathered all his soul power. A ball of hot black flame appeared in his palm. Boom. Yeezy raised his hand and released a black fireball, hitting the gunman doll in the back. Lan Mi's beautiful eyebrows raised slightly. Isn't this the dark fireball technique unique to Xiao Yeji? But this time the question is to use pyrotechnics to defeat these three dolls. Did Xiao Yeji give up? Lan Mi didn't understand. She didn't know what Yeeji's plan was. I saw that the black fireball did not explode on the spot after hitting the doll. Instead, it was like a rolling wheel, pushing the doll forward. And the black fireball gradually grew bigger and bigger, from a fireball the size of a truck tire to as huge as a locomotive. The black fireball pushed the gunner puppet and flew towards the warrior puppet and magician puppet. I see. Lan Mi seemed to understand when he saw this scene. Yeezy wants to be like bowling, finding a straight line to hit all the targets. But it's not that easy. Lan Mi raised the corners of his mouth slightly, and moved his slender fingers again, controlling the two combat dolls to jump away in two different directions, avoiding the flying dark fireballs. The range of flames after the fireball explodes is completely incomparable to that of the pyroblast. In fact, even the pyroblast technique cannot achieve such a range. Xiao Yeji, you lose. Lan Mi smiled. Boom. The black fireball pushed the gunman puppet more than 10 meters away, and finally exploded in the middle of the other two puppets. After the explosion, the huge black fireball sputtered out hundreds of small red fire bombs. These fire bombs spread in all directions like exploding fireworks. And those scattered fire bombs splashed around the other two combat dolls, and suddenly exploded again. Dong dong dong, rumble rumble rumble. Lan Mi was stunned. There is actually a pyroblast hidden in the core of that huge dark fireball. Utilizing the exploding sputter of the dark fireball technique, followed by a second re-explosion and then sputtering again, the power of this multiple pyroblast technique directly reaches a range of nearly 200 square meters. Danglang danglang. A blown-up puppet head flew dozens of meters and rolled to Lan Mi's feet. The steel doll had been completely dented by the sputtering fire bombs, and its surface was covered with scorch marks. Quote. Lan Mi's mood was indescribably shocked. This is a heaven-level doll. Although they have no intelligence, their physical attributes are made according to the average values of their respective professions. All three dolls were within the scope of the explosion. Each one was blown to pieces, with parts flying everywhere. The warrior doll is in the best condition. Because the warrior's defense is relatively high, only its surface is still intact. At least its limbs and head are still intact. It's just that the chest area was blurred by the blast. It should be repaired a little. Still available. Seeing that the plan was successful, Yeezy slowly breathed a sigh of relief and said with a smile, "Teacher, the students should have succeeded in the challenge now, right?" Lan Mi looked at Yeezy deeply. When the explosion spreads over such a large area, it is even powerful enough to kill a heaven-level transcendent. Incredible. Did you create this trick yourself? Lan Mi looked at him and asked. Yeezy thought for a while. Well, yes. Because if you only use the pyroblast technique, you can't find an angle to attack at all, so I wanted to try this temporarily. Temporary. Lan Mi fell silent, thinking that this little guy really had the talent to invent magic skills. He can combine the two skills of dark fireball and conventional pyrotechnics into one skill. The question is, how does he stabilize the energy of two different attributes? Even Lan Mi can't figure this out. If an ordinary magician were to learn what he did, the fireball would probably explode directly in the palm of his hand as he rubbed it, right? You must know that innovative magic also has risks, just like doing chemical alchemy experiments. Not to mention fusing two different elements, even two same elements, may cause immeasurable risks, and you may even hurt yourself. This little guy is so brave, he actually dares to make such an attempt temporarily. You're done. Lan Mi smiled softly, but, you also cheated. My original test question only allowed you to use pyroblast, but yours is obviously not a simple pyroblast, so. Quote. She deliberately made a long sound, then said with a wicked smile, I have decided. I will give you punishment and reward at the same time. Song of the night. Yeezy didn't leave Zan College until night. Oh, he is obviously over 300 years old, and he is still a top powerhouse at the apocalypse level, but he is still fooling around with his own students. Yeezy muttered very resentfully. He did not choose to use the reward immediately. He planned to keep it for now. Anyway, he doesn't have anything special needed right now. In the future, when he has something special to ask the teacher for, he will then think about what kind of reward he can ask for from the teacher. The moonlight is quiet, casting a hazy silver gauze over the city-state buildings. Yeezy walked alone on the dark night path. He didn't plan to go back to Yi's house tonight. He planned to go to the prop shop where he had a private meeting with Yu Li. Because Yu Li had just called him to tell him that she had made new progress in her research on potions in the past 2 days and wanted him to come over and have a look, so Yeezy didn't ask the old housekeeper to drive to pick him up. The path is very quiet at night, with the occasional barking of dogs and the cooing of owls from the trees on the roadside. Yesh would occasionally stop and look at the owl on the tree with a smile. Stray cats and dogs on the roadside would occasionally come to Yeezy, look at him, and gently rub his shoes and pants next to him. As a beast master, Yeji's animal affinity attribute is very high, so on these animals, the impact of Yeji's charm attribute will be tripled. The little white cat on the shoulder angrily scratched Yeji's clothes with its claws, seeming to urge him to leave quickly. Yeezy stopped in place for a moment. Not long after, for some reason, in the dark alley in the distance, a gloomy and terrifying dark aura suddenly approached, and it formed an obviously strong murderous intention. This killing intent even scared away the owls on the treetops and the nearby stray cats and dogs. The birds in the trees flapped their wings and flew into the air with chirps. Yeezy also sensed the killing intent. He turned his head and looked calmly at the dark alley. I saw the silhouette of a man gradually emerging from the darkness. Yi Shangshang's eyes were as gloomy as the abyss in the middle of the night, flashing with a sharp cold light. His facial muscles were twisted, as if every muscle was filled with hatred and malice, and he unabashedly revealed his own demonic aura, like an evil wolf who wants revenge is staring at Yi Ji. Yeezy didn't show any surprise when he saw Yi Shangshang. It is not surprising that a person at the end of his rope can do anything. Yi Shangshang's appearance looks much older than before, and you can even see a few strands of gray in his hair. His eyes are a bit more ferocious and crazy compared to the evil look before. Third level of Earth Realm. Yeezy could clearly feel that Yi Shangshang's level of demonic energy had improved a lot, from the first level of the Earth Realm to the third level of the Earth Realm. It seems that you used blood-burning soul sacrifice. Yeezy smiled faintly. Burning blood and sacrificing soul is a method to burn one's own lifespan to gain the opportunity to break through and upgrade. There are many strong men in this world who use blood-burning soul sacrifice to make a desperate move when they encounter a bottleneck in their cultivation. The lifespan of extraordinary people is generally longer than that of ordinary people, and the profession of immortal cultivators is longer. After breaking through the 100-soul realm, the aging rate of extraordinary people will become very slow, and as the level increases, they will gain more and more benefits. The longer lifespan, so there are many people who still look young even when they are hundreds of years old. But for most people, it is extremely difficult to upgrade after breaking through the 100-soul realm. At this time, if they want to continue to make progress on the path of transcendence, they can only use blood-burning soul sacrifices. Yi Shangshang is still so young, but he has used blood-burning soul sacrifice just because of the situation. There is no doubt that he has made a desperate move. Yi Shangshang stared at Yeezy fiercely, and evil black energy surged out of his body. Yeezy, today is the day you die. I was attacked by you in a sneak attack before, but you are dead this time. He kicked his feet violently, and his whole body rushed towards him like a crazy beast. Raise your palm to make a claw, and the demonic energy condenses into a larger ghost claw, which is so evil. Copying martial skills, shadow step. Yi Zhe used his martial arts skills and seemed not to move at all, but his body seemed to have suddenly moved. He easily dodged his attack and teleported to the back of Yi Shengshang. Where are the people? Yi Shengshang was stunned for a moment. Yi Zhe reached out from behind and patted his shoulder. Yi Shengshang's heart thumped and he turned around suddenly. However, as soon as he turned around, he was greeted with a loud slap. Snapped. Yi Shengshang fell out and broke the telephone pole on the roadside at night. Yi Zhe looked at the quiet environment around him. He is really the only one ambushing here. There was no warning of danger from the shadows, and it seemed that there was indeed no other threat. Didn't this guy suffer enough from the Doomsday Curse and the Blood Spirit illusion last time? After only 2 levels, he dared to seek death alone. Impossible. Yi Shengshang got up from the ground and looked at Yi Zhe in horror. Didn't you reach the 2nd level of the Zan realm before? How could you reach the 8th level of the Zan realm so quickly? Yi Zhe, what do you think? Quote. Yi Shengshang's face twitched slightly, but he still didn't believe it and rose up from the ground again. Yi Zhe's expression was indifferent, his body didn't move, he just raised his hand and pointed. Copying power, magic lightning bolt. A bolt of black lightning shot out from his finger and hit Yi Shengshang's thigh. Yi Shengshang screamed in pain and fell to his knees. If you have clairvoyance skills, you can see that his kneecap has been completely shattered. Yi Zhe did not stop, and released several more black bolts in succession, completely shattering several joints on Yi Shengshang's body, and he could not move at all. He could only lie on the ground and growl and groan unwillingly. The alleys were filled with his wails. Yi Shengshang couldn't figure it out at all. How could the gap in strength be so big? Even though Yi Zhe had broken through to the 8th level of the Zan realm, he was a cultivator of the 3rd level of the Earth realm. Originally, he thought that in a one-on-one situation, his strength would definitely be crushed. The only thing he needed to worry about was the shadow troops given to him by his grandfather. But the result of the facts is that the crushing is indeed crushing, but the characters are the other way around. Yi Shengshang could clearly feel that Yi Zhe was completely toying with him, and he hadn't even used his true strength. Yi Zhe looked at his fingers. The magic lightning bolt skill's trajectory speed is very fast, almost 30 times the speed of the fireball skill, but now it seems that it is a little less powerful and not penetrating enough. But if you can combine this move with the slow dark fireball, you might be able to create a good ultimate move. Actually, if you hadn't suddenly appeared and come looking for death, you might have been able to live a few more months. Yi Zhe said softly, because I don't pay much attention to you at all, so in fact, I haven't officially started sending killers to find you. Yi Shengshang's cheek twitched slightly, and a look of regret suddenly appeared in his eyes. Of course, regret was of no use now. Yi Zhe turned around and stopped looking at him. 0. From the shadow on the roadside, Ling, dressed in black, slowly appeared, kneeling on the ground. Master. You take care of the aftermath. Yes. 0 held a black blade and slowly walked towards Yi Shengshang with an expressionless face. Yi Shengshang showed a horrified look in his eyes. His biological instinct for survival kept making him want to struggle to get up, but the joints of his limbs were all broken, and his body could only twist on the ground like maggots. 0 walked up to him and stabbed him without hesitation. Yi Zhe had already walked away, and Yi Shengshang's tragic screams came from behind. Chu Wan hadn't had a good night's sleep for several days. In the past few days, he has been suffering from anxiety, tension and insomnia. As the city lord of Wanjian City, he is of course very well informed. The news that Yi Shengshang's lineage was completely wiped out has already reached him. Although the news has spread, the specific reasons and why Yi Shengshang's lineage was wiped out are still unclear at the moment. If it were other nobles who were completely unaware, they would definitely be confused as to what happened inside the Yi family. But Chu Wan had an answer vaguely in his heart, and this answer made him very uneasy. That is, the Yi family discovered Yi Shengshang's betrayal, and the reason for discovering his betrayal was most likely the killers he sent out. Chu Wan knew very well that if this was the case, then the Yi family would undoubtedly already know that those killers were sent by him. But how is it possible? Even if Haihu and the others fail, they will definitely commit suicide as soon as possible. If the news did not come from He Li and the others, then how was Yi Shengshang discovered to have betrayed him? Chu Wan could only comfort himself in his heart. Maybe it was Yi Shengshang himself who accidentally exposed his betrayal in other ways, and maybe it had nothing to do with Heilai and the others. But that ominous premonition kept lingering in his heart, and he couldn't get rid of it no matter how hard he tried. Chu Wan was at his desk, his mind full of this matter. The wife sat in the room, holding Chu Ruihua's photo and crying bitterly. Since Chu Ruihua's death, she has been crying all day long. How long are you going to wait? When are you going to kill that who killed our son? His wife accused him angrily. Since the last assassination failed, you have never done anything else. Do you really want to avenge our son? Chu Wan was upset, but he still tried to suppress his emotions and said, it's not working recently. After the last assassination failed, Yi Xiao will definitely be alert, and Yi City will definitely increase its defense strength. At this time, we will take action again. It would be bad if they follow the clues and get caught. Then let's do it in Yasin City. The wife said through gritted teeth. He hasn't always stayed in Night City. Doesn't the little devil usually go to school at the Zonjin Academy in Yasin City? Chu Wan immediately rejected it. No, he is a direct student of Lan Mi, the president of the Imperial War College. We have no chance to succeed near the War College. We might even offend this former man who is among the top 10 in the human race. How long are you going to put off worrying about this and that? The wife was furious. It's just killing a little devil in the Zon realm, how can it be so troublesome? Chu Wan ignored her. He and his wife had a political marriage at the time. She had part of the royal family blood and was a distant relative of the current second emperor. She had been pampered since she was a child and had almost never been angry. Therefore, she usually had a strong personality. When she got angry, she would not consider the consequences at all. Calm down, calm down. Chu Wan gritted his teeth and told himself secretly in his heart. When he was 16 years old, he fought on the battlefield of thousands of races and survived so many invincible alien enemies. What storms and waves have you not seen in all these years? Moreover, we still haven't figured out what happened, maybe it's not that bad after all. City Lord. At this time, a subordinate rushed in from outside. Chu Wan. What's going on? Subordinate. There is news that Mr. Hailu and the others are not dead. Quote ? Quote. Chu Wan's pupils narrowed. What? You, where did you get the news? The subordinates replied. Some people in Yi City saw that the Yi family publicly executed several killers who intended to assassinate Yi Zhe today. Later, after some investigation, we determined that these killers were Mr. Hailu and the others. Quote. Chu Wan's face suddenly became extremely pale, as if he had aged 10 years in an instant. Quote. Got it, go down. Chu Wan waved his hand. The men retreated silently. This is the subordinate you have spent so many years training. The wife sneered with disdain. Didn't you always brag to me about something that is foolproof and foolproof? This is the result you gave me. Chu Wan was upset and didn't respond at all. In fact, he didn't hear what his wife was saying at all. Mr. Hailu and the others were really captured alive, and they were really not dead. At this time, if you say anything, maybe it's not that bad, you're simply deceiving yourself. Now Chu Wan can be 100% sure that He Hao and the others must have confessed something, and Yi Shengshang must have been confessed by them. And since Yi Shengshang was confessed, then he. The wife did not see Chu Wan's trembling hands on his lap, but still kept saying tirelessly, forget it, I don't count on you, a useless man, I will find someone to kill that little devil myself. I can ask my sister who is far away in Kyoto to bring in a killer. I have already investigated before. After becoming Lan Mi's direct student, Yi Zhe basically lives in the Zon Academy in the past few days. He only has weekends. He will return to Night City with the butler who came to pick him up. I will have someone take action on his way back to Night City, and I will definitely deal with this kid this time. Hey, did you hear that? Give me the information about the little devil you investigated before, as well as the information about the old housekeeper who picks him up every day, and snapped. Suddenly, there was a heavy and loud slap in the face. Chu Wan slapped his wife on the face with great anger. You brainless idiot woman. Is this the end of the world? If you want to die yourself, don't take me with you. You don't understand the seriousness of the matter at all. Have you ever been a city lord? Have you ever fought in a war? How many conspiracies and plots among imperial nobles and extraordinary people have you experienced? You have obviously never been a small leader. There is no experience, ability, knowledge, or achievements. I have been pointing fingers in front of me all day long with my humble knowledge and assumptions. Do you really think that Wan Zhancheng is like this because of you? After reading too many cool articles on the internet, I really think that my brain is enough. Enough. You don't even understand what this world is like. If I had really listened to your advice, Wanjian City would have been annexed by other nobles. I've been putting up with you for a long time, you brainless idiot. His wife covered her red and swollen cheeks in confusion and stared at him dumbfounded. You dare to hit me? After so many years of marriage, she has always been the stronger one, and her husband has always given in to her in life. She never thought that Chu Wan would dare to treat her so violently. Zhang. Chu Wan pulled out his sword, his face was as ferocious as ever. Hit. I still dare to kill. Do you believe it? The wife trembled all over and suddenly softened. She looked at Chu Wan timidly. She could feel that something was obviously not right about Chu Wan today. Maybe he would dare to do something out of impulse. The wife's voice weakened. What's wrong with you? What happened? Why? City Lord. At this time, another subordinate rushed in from outside. There is a letter from you. It was sent by Viscount Yi Xiao. Chu Wan's body trembled obviously. Give it to me. Yes. Go down. Chu Wan picked up the letter nervously. There is a drop of black-red wax oil seal on the letterhead, and there is a half-demon pattern stamped on it. That is the emblem of the Yi family, the largest family of demonized genetic mutants in the empire. Chu Wan paused, gritted his teeth, and opened the envelope. Chu Wan actually knows very well that the way of transmitting information is so advanced nowadays. Even if there is something between nobles, generally speaking, such letterheads will not be used specifically unless it is extremely solemn. Chu Wan seemed to have expected something, but he still opened the envelope and took out the letter. After just one glance, Chu Wan's face turned completely pale, his figure swayed slightly, he sat on the chair behind him, and the letter in his hand fell to the ground. The wife couldn't help but ask, what's wrong with you? Chu Wan's lips moved. See for yourself. The wife picked up the letter from the ground. I saw only a very simple line written on the letter. Do you want price, or war? Signed by Night Owl. The wife said, what does this mean? What do you mean? Is there any need to ask? Chu Wan looked as if he had aged 10 years. Yi Xiao already knew that it was the killer we sent to assassinate his son. What this means is that he is asking us to take the initiative. If you pay the price, you still have to go to war with their Yi family. The wife frowned. Do they really have the courage to openly wage war on us? Chu Wan said, there is one set of laws between nobles and commoners, and there is another set of laws between nobles and nobles. According to the imperial law, the evidence in their hands is conclusive, and all consequences will be borne by us, and they will not be responsible for anything afterwards. Responsibility. Then, the wife hesitated and said, then let's fight them. You, a count, can't beat him, a viscount. Fight. Chu Wan's whole body was covered in cold sweat. Fighting against the demonized family, we can't survive for 3 days regardless of the cost and with all our strength. The wife looked shocked. How is that possible? Chu Wan stopped talking to his wife. His body trembled slightly and he looked at his hands, thinking about what he should do now. There is a price or a war. Yi Xiao didn't tell the matter to death. In other words, is there still room for redemption? The question is, what price does he have to pay to satisfy the Yi family? Compensate. Make a public apology. Cease territory. Cease business. Cease family resources. Yi Xiao didn't make it clear at all what price he wanted. In fact, it is possible that no matter how sincere he is, the Yi family will express dissatisfaction. In other words, after he endured the pain of cutting off his flesh and paid a lot of price, the end result may still be war. Yes, this is most likely the Yi family's conspiracy. He wants to weaken his strength without spending a single soldier. Let his vitality be severely damaged. Then Yi Xiao will lead an army of demonized people to attack Wan directly. When Jian Cheng attacks, he may not even have room to fight back. This cunning fox. There is no other way. Chu Wan gritted his teeth and raised his head. The wife was a little startled when she saw his bloodshot eyes. You have to ask your relatives in the royal family for help. Chu Wan said. We can only. Dee. At this time, the communication watch on Chu Wan's wrist also rang. He picked it up and saw that it was a communication phone call from Lan Mi, the principal of the Zan Academy. Chu Wan was stunned for a moment. He didn't understand why Lan Mi called at this time, but he still picked up the communication. A holographic image soon appeared in front of him. Lan Mi seemed to be sitting in her principal's office, with one of her long legs crossed, leaning on the office chair in a very comfortable posture, and said with a smile, City Lord Chu, I seem to be missing. Principal Lan, what's the matter? Chu Wan's attitude towards this top 10 strong man in the human empire was still relatively respectful, even though he was now the teacher of the little demon Yeezy. Oh, it's nothing, Lan Mi said, throwing a small snack at hand into his mouth. I just heard that City Lord Chu's business has been very big recently. Chu Wan was stunned for a moment. Business? He didn't react for a moment. I recently investigated all the soul crystal export lists of Yasen City's foreign trade in recent years. Lan Mi chewed the potato chips with his little mouth. Guess what good things I found? I found that there are billions of them that don't even match up. Chu Wan's pupils shrank suddenly. Now, no matter how dull he is, he should understand what Lan Mi is talking about. He said in a panic, Principal Lan, this. Oh, it's okay, I just came to say hello to you. Lan Mi waved his hand. I have already submitted these list reports to the royal family and the Imperial Law Enforcement Officer. Chu Wan, Lan Mi. Well, that's it, bye. The video call was hung up. Quote. There was a long silence in the room. Chu Wan fell into a daze for a moment. He stared blankly ahead, and there was almost a feeling of weakness all over his body. When he was planning this assassination, he had thought about the consequences of failure, but he thought the possibility of failure was extremely low, so he didn't care much about the consequences. But now, it seems that something that is only 1 in a billion is possible has really happened. Chu Wan has fallen into deep fear. He once went to the battlefield of all races with the Yi family, so he knew that the demonized people of the Yi family were terrifying on the battlefield. And there is no doubt that it is impossible to even ask for help from the royal family now. What should we do now? The wife was also a little panicked. The only person she could rely on was his sister in the royal family, but now it seems that his sister can no longer cover this situation. She just smuggled soul crystals. They cannot afford the crime. There is no other way. Chu Wan suddenly stood up and said solemnly, I will go to Duke Wong and now. Is this the magic potion you refined? The night singer held a medicine bottle and looked at it carefully. The oval potion bottle contained some kind of dark purple liquid, which shimmered under the light. Yes. Yes. Yu Li's beautiful eyes were slightly uneasy. She lowered her head slightly so that her silver hair could block her unconfident eyes. Her 2 white little hands were a little nervous. Grabbing his own skirt. Picture. This potion is the result of her research for a week. Although previous experiments on mice have always been successful, and she made it exactly according to the production list Yeezy gave her, indicating that there should be no problems with this potion. But when she handed over her production results to her benefactor plus teacher plus bamboo horse for inspection, Yu Li couldn't help but feel a little nervous. She was worried that her results would not meet Yeji's expectations. Yeezy, have you done any experiments? Yu Li, it's been done. It's been done on mice, and the results of the experiment are exactly as you said, Master Yeezy. This is the first level awakening potion of reconnaissance. After drinking it, you can randomly awaken certain reconnaissance type abilities. After the mice drink it, the awakening success rate is about 50%. It is possible to awaken white quality abilities. This is about 40%, and the possibility of awakening a blue quality power is about 30%. The higher the quality of the power, the lower the probability of awakening. But we haven't tried it on humans yet. That's enough. Yeezy fully believes in Yu Li's ability. She is a talented deputy in the game. If she can't do it, then no one in the world can do it. I believe that on the human body, it will definitely be successful. Yeezy paused, looked up at Yu Li's face, and said with a smile, because I absolutely believe in my little Qingmei's ability. Well, Yu Li felt a little dizzy when he heard this. Young Master Yeezy said that he absolutely believes in me. He absolutely believed me. Well. Also, I've told you several times, don't call me Young Master Yeezy, and don't call me you either. Yeezy said, you are just like Shui, just call me Xiao Yi. Yu Li's cheeks were slightly red, I can't scream. Why? Quote. Okay, forget it. Yeezy rolled his eyes. Then what can you call me that you can pronounce? In short, you can't call me Young Master, and you can't call me Boss. Yu Li. I don't know. Yeezy shrugged. Otherwise, you can just call me Yeezy. It's the easiest. No. Yu Li shook his head hurriedly. It's too impolite. I mean, Brother Yi. Yeezy held his chin with one hand. Don't think of the last word as a song, but rather as the brother of Big Brother. Yu Li hesitated. But, it still sounds the same. Really? Yeezy thought for a while and suddenly smiled. Then I understand, then you can call me brother. Oh, just think of the brother in front of you as Zhe. Quote. Yu Li's petite body swayed, and she seemed to feel that the temperature on her cheeks had risen again, and she said in a daze. Brother. Yeezy. Hey, Yu Li. Yes, it sounds like this. Don't you like it? Yeezy looked slightly disappointed, but I quite like this title. Quote. No, Yu Li couldn't bear to see Yeezy's disappointed expression. I'm just a little embarrassed. Let's do that. Yeezy smiled. From now on, you can call me whatever you want in front of outsiders, but in private, you have to call me brother. Yu Li. It's such a happy decision. Quote. Yeezy took out something to eat from his inventory. By the way, let's sit down and have something to eat together. I came to your place just after I came out of the academy today, and I haven't even eaten dinner yet. Yu Li immediately waved his hand. No, I'm not very hungry either. Yeezy, but my brother ordered you to sit down. Yu Li. After hearing this, the girl obediently sat down opposite Yeezy's seat. Yeezy knew that Yu Li still regarded himself as a servant in his heart. So when she heard herself asking her to sit down and eat together, she subconsciously thought that because of her status, she was not qualified to eat with the young master. As an ordinary person without extraordinary talents, this concept is difficult to change. Yeezy didn't intend to force her to change her mind all of a sudden. Just let nature take its course. Anyway, if you stay with him in the future, you will be able to change sooner or later. How's it going? Is it delicious? Delicious. At this moment, Yeezy suddenly noticed Yu Li's new dress and asked suspiciously, by the way, what are you wearing? Shui gave it to me. Yu Li said cautiously. Shui is a very nice person. Really? Yesh thought and nodded secretly. Well, she is indeed Miyuki Mommy, who is overflowing with motherhood. However, you can call Shui by her nickname without any burden, but you can't call me by mine. Yeezy glanced at her faintly and sighed. It seems that you are closer to her. Yu Li panicked and said, that's not the case. Please don't think so. Then you call brother now and come and listen. Quote. Brother. Well, that's right. Yeezy nodded with satisfaction. After eating the midnight snack, Yesh touched his belly with satisfaction. Oh, by the way, although the research on the previous potion has been completed, you should not drink that potion for the time being. Although that magic potion can help you awaken from an ordinary person to a superpower, most people can only have one type of superpower in their lifetime. Once you use it, there's no chance of regret. Yeezy looked at her seriously. It won't be too late to drink it after I make a potion type that is more suitable for you. As for the reconnaissance potion, he has a suitable candidate in mind. Okay, of course Yu Li was willing to listen to Yeezy unconditionally. Of course she wants to be super. In the past, she wanted to develop a magic potion that would allow ordinary people to change their lives and awaken to become extraordinary beings. This was her dream. But now, she wants to become a transcendent because she wants to have more power to help Master Yesh. Yu Li showed some regret again. However, it may take a long time to develop a completely different type of higher-level magic potion. The time cost of scientific research has always been very long. The scientists who originally developed the magic engine took nearly half a century to finally develop a prototype. If it weren't for the production list Yeezy gave her this time, even if she had such an idea very early, it would definitely take a long, long time. Oh, I don't think so. Yeezy placed a brand new drawing in front of Yu Li. Nah. Yu Li looked at the drawing blankly. This is the second level magic potion for awakening supernatural powers. Yeezy said, this is the proportion list, and the detailed refining process is also written on it. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Yu Li looked shocked. Chapter 91. Yu Li looked at the drawings in front of him blankly, with big question marks in his little head. She just completed the refining of the first level potion yesterday, and it took her nearly a week to experiment with the ratio table and refining key points. As a result, as soon as she finished refining the results, Yeezy immediately came up with the second stage potion ratio. This is too fast. What's wrong? Yeezy asked. Is there anything wrong with this ratio chart? No. No. Yu Li shook his head. Last time you said that the previous potion ratio result was just researched by you not long ago. This time. Yes. Yeezy nodded. I just researched this new potion ratio in the past few days. Yu Li looked surprised. What's wrong? Yeezy pretended to be confused. Shouldn't this kind of thing be like making up a composition assigned by the Chinese teacher? You can just write a bunch of it casually. Yu Li. Duke's palace. Of course Duke Wong knew Chu Wan's intention of coming today. The Duke's palace is still very well informed, and he has heard everything. Now, you have put yourself in the spotlight. Duke Wong shook his head. He originally thought that only a playboy like Yi Shengshang would commit such a stupid thing, but he didn't expect Chu Wan to be so reckless. Chu Wan's face turned pale. Duke, save me. It's a pity that I can't help you. Duke Wong stood up and came to the window with one hand behind his back, looking at the bright night outside. However, I can help you with the delay in the capital and the law enforcement officials. Let them not pursue your soul crystal smuggling case for the time being. Chu Wan's eyes lit up slightly when he heard this, as if he had touched a ray of dawn, but soon dimmed again. But, even so. Let me tell you, His Majesty the Second Emperor has long wanted to eradicate the Yi family, but he has never had this opportunity. Duke Wong looked at him and said lightly, actually, I knew you would come, so I have already contacted His Majesty and discussed your matter. If you can use this matter to eliminate the scourge of the Yi family, maybe His Majesty will be more lenient and deal with your past affairs. Get rid of Yeezy. Chu Wan gritted his teeth, thinking how easy it was. Before he came, he had already calculated the combat power of the two families. Even if Yi Quan, the old man of the Yi family, doesn't take action, their Wanjian city's chance of winning will not exceed 10%. His Majesty the Second Emperor asked him to do this, probably because he just wanted to use their Wanjian city to test the depth of the Yi family. Chu Wan said, I hope the Duke can lend me some extraordinary warriors. Borrow it. Duke Wong glanced at him contemptuously. Do you still have it? Quote. Chu Wan was speechless for a moment. Hurry up and figure out how to defeat the Yi family. That's what you should do now. Duke Wong said with an expressionless indifference. Quote. I know. Chu Wan smiled bitterly. There is no doubt that he has no way out. But at least it was better than before. Originally, he had to face the pressure from both the Yi family and the law enforcement officers. But now, he at least got a chance. Chu Wan walked out of the Duke's mansion, took a deep breath, and his expression gradually darkened, as if he had made some kind of determination. I can only use the last trump card my father left to Wanjian City. When Yeezy came to the demon world again, it was almost completely different. The area of the demon realm is more than 3 times larger than the original Black Abyss secret realm. You can see colorful, strange-looking demon realm plants covered with demonic patterns everywhere. The entire forest is mainly black and purple, and the demon realm trees in the distance are towering. The visual height of the cloud has reached 1,000 meters, and it just towers into the black whirlpool of the Black Abyss well above the clouds, as if connecting the upper level of the Black Abyss secret realm with the lower level of the Black Abyss well. Yeezy was secretly shocked. Every time he returns to the demon realm, the growth speed of the demon realm tree always surprises him. At this time, several ghost-like things suddenly floated out of the black forest and slowly approached Yeezy. Yi Zhe immediately became alert and frowned. Those ghosts look like female humanoids, but their bodies are not complete. Their lower bodies are floating in the air like spirit bodies. Can you faintly feel that they have a bit of devilish energy? However, the female ghosts did not seem to be hostile at all. Instead, they came to Yi Zhe one after another, bowed slightly, behaved very respectfully, and then continued to leave in an orderly manner, as if they were going to complete some work. While Yi Zhe was still puzzled, Hong Ko appeared. Master, you are back. Hong Ko's appearance is still so mature and beautiful. Her hair is as red as seaweed and reaches to her waist. A black and red dress highlights her charm. And what's different from last time is that this time she has completely absorbed the nutrients, can rely on a pair of white jade legs to walk on the ground like a human being. Yi Zhe nodded slightly as a signal, and then looked at the female ghosts. Those are Devil Spirit, one of the lowest level demon creatures created by the Demon World Tree. Hong Ko said with a smile. After the Demon Realm Tree is resurrected, the souls of the dead demon creatures wandering in the world will be attracted back. Then it is reborn from the Demon World Tree and becomes a new Demon Realm life. According to your understanding, you can understand it as reincarnation. Yi Zhe raised his eyebrows. I see. It sounds interesting. Those demon spirits don't have any high fighting ability. They are all bred from this kind of magic pattern flower. Hong Ko stretched out her hand and gently stroked a strangely colored flower on the side of the road that looked like a piranha. Huge flower. Their main job is to collect various spiritual energy resources within the demon realm and then deliver them to the demon realm tree. Quote. This suddenly reminded Yi Zhe of some real-time strategy games he played when he was a child. The main fortress creates farmers, who can cut down trees, and then create various barracks. Soldiers then go around to collect various resources. It probably means something similar, right? Speaking of which, there's something I've always wanted to ask. Yi Zhe looked around. The territories of the demon race that I have seen before are basically a land of decay, and they are also accompanied by very serious pollution of demonic energy. The places polluted by demonic energy can be said to be endless. There is no life left except demons, but why do I feel nothing here? Hong Ko smiled faintly. The seeds are activated by your blood, and of course they inherit your will. Things that also appear to be dark may contain completely different substances, and darkness is not necessarily destined to bring pollution and harm. Yi Zhe listened and nodded. So, how long does it take to give birth to a demon warrior? Soon. Hong Ko closed her eyes with strange pupils, felt it for a moment, and then said, Master, please come with me. Yi Zhe followed Hong Ko to another forest. I saw a tall red magic pattern tree standing in front of me. This big tree was naturally conceived by the tree of the demon realm. In just a few days, it had grown to more than 50 meters high, with huge black fruits on the branches, like hearts beating faintly. After a while, a black fruit fell from the tree and fell to the ground. The fruit shell fell to the ground and shattered. The life inside twisted its body and slowly crawled out of the flesh. The outer hair was as dark as black smoke. It was about the size of an adult medium-sized dog, like a juvenile monster. Hong Ko said, This is a first-level demon tooth beast. It has not grown up yet. It will take about a day to grow from the juvenile stage to the mature stage. Yi Zhe looked at the small demon tooth beast. It looked a bit like a large beast such as a lion, tiger, or bear. Before its eyes were fully opened, a pair of sharp fangs were already as big as an adult's finger. Longer. Very good. Yi Zhe said, How many such demon tooth beasts can the demon world breed now? Hong Ko said, This depends on the number of soul points stored in the demon realm tree and the current energy of the demon realm tree. Currently, the demon realm tree still has a total of 306 soul points. In other words, without considering the birth of other demon realm life, it can give birth to 306 demon tooth beasts. Hong Ko paused and asked again, Master, you are asking this, is there any upcoming battle that requires the services of these Warcraft warriors? Yi Zhe was silent for a moment and nodded slightly. Well, maybe there will be. Return to Yejia. Yi Zhe lay on the bedside and rested for a while, then took out a cat teasing stick and a bottle of milk to play with the white blood spirit for a while. The little civet kept meowing after being played with. She kept trying to grab the milk from Yi Ji's left hand, but she was always held down by the cat-teasing stick in Yeezy's right hand, and then her belly was brushed hard. At this time, Yeji's watch suddenly beeped twice. Yeezy glanced at it, and then said calmly, "Come in." Squeak. A small figure rolled in from the window and landed quickly. "Hey, hello, boss." Song Jia smiled naively and pulled the backpack on his body. Yeezy glanced at him faintly and said helplessly, "Why do you have to go through the window when there is a front door? If I hadn't said hello to my family in advance, wouldn't you be afraid of being beaten like a wolf?" Song Jia was stunned for a moment, then scratched his head in embarrassment. Sorry, I'm used to it." "Song of the night," Song Jia said, "but this time, I have brought you a lot of information." Yeezy continued to ravage the little civet in his arms. "What information, please tell me?" "Wanjian City is gathering an army," Song Jia said with a serious face, "and they have called back all the extraordinary warriors stationed at resource points in various ethnic areas outside." Yeezy was silent for a moment, stopped what he was doing, and looked at him. "Where did you get this information?" Song Jia chuckled. "In the wilderness, scavengers and adventurers from all walks of life are often the best informed. They can even find out things that noble spies like you can't." Yeezy smiled. "He is worthy of being the most famous intelligence dealer in later versions. He has shown such strong foreign negotiation skills at such a young age. By the way, you said you wanted me to find those homeless people in the wilderness who were suffering from demonic pollution and wanted to survive. I also found them for you." Song Jia added. "They said that as long as you can let them live and show them a way out, they can do anything." Yeezy said calmly, "Do you dare to let them go to the battlefield?" "Battlefield? Of course you dare." Song Jia touched his nose. "Boss, don't underestimate these guys living in the wilderness. The wilderness is another battlefield. These people can fight against the human race and all races all year round. Activities in the junction area, surviving on the garbage picked up and scarce food, growing up all by relying on a pair of fists and fighting with other homeless people. How barbaric." Having said this, Song Jia paused and reminded, "But having said that, boss, I have to remind you that these guys are brave and dare to risk their lives. They will do anything to survive, but they are not necessarily easy to manage. There are quite a few of these guys who have done a lot of stealing and stealing. I guess even if you recruit them, they may not be honest with you." Yeezy glanced at him. "Do you want to do less?" Me, he. Song Jia scratched his head and smiled sheepishly. "Isn't this because I am forced by life?" Yeezy said. "Do you know why unruly people come out of poor mountains and harsh waters?" Song Jia was stunned for a moment. They originally lived in a place beyond the control of the laws of the Qin dynasty. In the black wasteland where dark races often haunted, the law of the jungle was the only way to survive. If they were moral, polite, and courteous, they would have died long ago. "I can't survive now." Yeezy looked at him with calm eyes. "In fact, even if it is not the wilderness, in Night City, Yasin City, in this steel jungle, if there is no restriction of the law, how many people will be willing to consciously abide by it? The moral bottom line." Song Jia looked confused. He was only 10 years old and he couldn't understand, but he just felt shocked. Yeezy certainly didn't expect him to understand. "Take these two things." Yeezy placed a black card and a bottle of purple potion on the table. Song Jia picked up the two things curiously. "What are these?" "One is Yi City's ID card. With it, you can enter Yi City freely and prove that you are a member of my Yi family." Yeezy said. "The other bottle is a magic potion. He can help you awaken an detection type of power and become a superpower." "Magic potion?" Song Jia stared. "Can you awaken and become a person with superpowers? Is it true or false?" "But when I did the test at the Demon Hunter Guild, it didn't show that I had superpowers." "Do you have talent?" "You will have it after drinking this potion," Yeezy said, "but the level of the superpower that will be awakened depends on your own luck." After Song Jia became his employee, he had already signed a soul contract, so there was no need to worry about his betrayal. After hearing this, Song Jia accepted the potion with a happy face. "That's good, boss, you are so generous, boss, you are in good health, boss, you will definitely get rich, boss, you will definitely be able to please several beautiful wives in the future." Song of the night. Boss, I'll withdraw first. Song Jia chuckled and was about to turn around and leave through the window. Wait, Yi Zhe said. Song Jia stopped and said, Boss, is there anything else you can do? Wei Yan, come out. Yi Zhe said. Song Jia looked suspicious, not knowing who Yi Zhe was talking about Wei Yan. At this time, he saw a man suddenly appear from the shadows next to him. The man was dressed in black, tall, and had burn scars all over his face. He was startled. I'm going. Wei Yan is the one with the strongest intelligence gathering ability in the Shadow Force. He is a man of few words. His strength is not top-notch among the shadows, but his investigative ability is absolutely unparalleled. However, due to his reticence, he was not as good as Song Jia in terms of connections. Yi Zhe said, your current abilities in reconnaissance, exploration, and running away belong to Yi Luzi. This person will be your master from now on, and he will train you and make you a true detective master. Song Jia scratched his head. You really want to train me? I thought you were just joking. Yi Zhe said, I hope that in the next few years, you will help me weave a large intelligence network on this land to control the world's context. Song Jia was surprised. Do you think I can do it? Yi Zhe smiled. You can definitely do it. After all, I know your future. Song Jia was silent for a moment. Okay, I will do my best for your trust. Wei Yan, Yi Zhe said, if you have the opportunity this time, take Song Jia with you to explore Wanjian City and find out their specific situation and what trump cards they have. Wei Yan said respectfully, yes, master. Wei Yan and Song Jia left. White Blood Spirit lay on the cabinet, watching Yi Zhe secretly. She just felt that she could not understand Yi Zhe more and more now. This little demon seemed to have something special that no human she had ever seen in her previous life as the Empress of the Spirit Demon tribe had. What is it specially made for? White Blood Spirit himself couldn't tell. Yi Zhe turned around at this time and looked up at her. When Bai Shuiling saw this, he immediately turned his head away and pretended to be asleep with his eyes closed. Just kidding, how can I let this human being know that I have been secretly watching him? Yi Zhe stretched out his hand to her. Ling Ling, come here. Meow. The little civet looked like it didn't want to pay attention. Okay, stop being so arrogant. Yi Zhe said, I know you have been secretly watching me for a long time. The little civet suddenly became embarrassed and said, Meow. Who is secretly looking at you? Yesh took out the colorful sacred cow's milk bottle and shook it. White Blood Spirit. Quote. Gulu. Gulu. It smells so good. Knock knock knock. At this time, there was a knock on the door. Mother Zhou Yuqing leaned half in from the outside and said with a smile, Xiao Yesh, are you asleep? Yi Zhe asked, what's wrong? Zhou Yuqing said, Grandpa is in the cemetery on the hill behind the manor, and he said he wanted you to come over. Yi Zhe was confused. Grandpa. Yi Zhe came to the hill behind the manor. The back hill of Yejia Manor is a huge cemetery. Not only the people of Yejia, but also all the soldiers who sacrificed their lives for Yejia will be buried here. Yi Quan was seen standing in front of a black monument more than 10 meters high, with his hands behind his back, not knowing what he was looking at. Yi Zhe came over and said, Grandpa, do you have anything to do with me? Yes. Yi Quan responded lightly, nodded to him, and then continued to look at the tall monument. Yi Zhe came over and stood with him, also raising his head and looking at the huge stone tablet. I saw that it was covered with words, and many of them were obviously people's names. Grandpa, what is this? Yi Zhe asked. Yi Quan said, these are the names of the extraordinary warriors who died when the late emperor and I fought against the alien demonic tide on the battlefield of all races. Yi Zhe was stunned. With the late emperor? Of course. Yi Quan smiled and stroked his beard. The friendship between me and the late emperor was not ordinary back then. I was also one of the first batch of veterans who accompanied the late emperor throughout his career. When we were young, we were often naked together. My son went to the river to pee. Song of the Night. Yi Quan said, to be honest, Grandpa, I have never admired anyone in my life, and the late emperor is the only one. He is an amazing king. He has done things that no human being has ever done before. Look at many races that rank higher than us among all races. They are still divided into different countries and several strands. Although we, the human race, have achieved unified power. Our ranking that year was suddenly raised to 93rd from 500 at the beginning. Quote. If that's the case, then why? Yi Zhe paused and didn't ask further. Yi Quan looked at him. Do you want to ask, since our Yi family is also the founding hero of the human race, why is our Yi family's situation in the empire still so embarrassing? Yi Zhe nodded slightly. That can't be helped. Yi Quan shrugged. The late emperor passed away. Song of the Night. The water in the royal family is deep, and it is much more complicated than the internal problems of noble families like ours. Yi Quan glanced at Yi Zhe. Although you, the kid, always follow me and act childish, I know you are precocious. Very, you should be able to understand what I'm talking about. Hee. Yesh stuck out her tongue in embarrassment. Yi Quan continued. The late emperor was an amazing person. With his original state, he could have lived longer, and with his strength, he could definitely sit on the throne of the emperor. Back then, there were 3 powerful people in the Holy Land in the history of the human race, and the late emperor was one of them. But he knew that he could not fight against the powerful 10,000 races just by relying on the strength of the Holy Land. You are still young now, and there are many powerful races that you have never seen among all races. Their strength is stronger than ours, and their civilization is more advanced than ours. So the late emperor used blood-burning soul sacrifices to try to break through to the Soul Emperor realm. Yi Zhe was silent for a moment, so now it seems that the burning blood breakthrough failed. Yes, Yi Quan showed a somewhat sad look. Before the late emperor passed away, I promised the late emperor that I would protect the human race and the empire for him. Otherwise, do you think why the empire is in such trouble now? To secretly make things difficult for our Yi family, Grandpa and I are always pretending to be deaf and dumb. Yi Zhe fell silent. I see. This plot was not mentioned in the original main line of the game. Maybe the planner hasn't revealed this plot yet, maybe it's because Yesh traveled through time, so Tiandao automatically supplemented the world view. But none of that matters anymore. Since Yi Zhe has traveled to this world, this is a real world. Sometimes, he cannot be completely treated as a game. The empire has failed me, but I have not failed the empire. Yi Quan sighed and shook his head. Some people have always said in the past that only at a critical moment of real destruction can the human race truly unite. But facts have proven that even before extinction, the human race cannot achieve true unity. Because even at that moment, a group of people with different ideas and different choices will emerge. Some people may choose to surrender to all races and be willing to be prisoners in order to survive. Some people may choose to fight to the end and would rather die than surrender. Quote. Yi Zhe nodded vigorously. Agree very much. Although the late emperor founded this empire and gathered the power of the human race, this empire was finally assembled because of him. But once he passed away, the problem was exposed. The second generation was obviously unable to take over the magnificent legacy laid by his predecessors. Industry. The late emperor accomplished a lot, but because he died too early, there were also many things he failed to accomplish. But I believe that sooner or later, future generations will do the things he failed to accomplish. Yi Quan paused at this time, turned to look at Yi Zhe beside him. His eyes were deep. Although I promised the late emperor to protect the empire for him, that is my promise after all. When it comes to your generation, I hope you will make your own judgment. Yi Zhe smiled. I understand. Yi Quan's gray eyes suddenly narrowed gradually, and he laughed and said, I'm sorry, Xiao Yesh, for having you come here in the middle of the night to listen to Grandpa say these ridiculous words. Yi Zhe said, It's okay, Grandpa. Okay, I've finished raising old matters, now let's get down to business. Yi Quan said, Tell me the truth, Grandpa, why did Chu Wan send a killer to assassinate you? And he's also a killer from the Shira realm. Yesh was silent for a moment, and then told Yi Quan exactly what happened in the secret realm assessment. I see. Yi Quan snorted coldly. This Chu Ruahua deserves to die. But Xiao Yesh, our Yi family has always had a tradition. It's best to take responsibility for the things you cause. If you don't have the ability and still like to cause trouble outside, but you need help from your family to wipe your butt, you will be looked down upon by your other brothers and sisters. Yi Zhe rolled his eyes and quickly understood what Yi Quan meant. You mean, you want me to deal with Chu Wan by myself? Yes. Yi Quan stretched out the wrinkles on his cheeks and revealed a faint smile. when your grandfather and I were 20 years old, your great-great-grandfather gave all his children a test, each of us was given only $3. Hundreds of extraordinary warriors, let us conquer all races. Whoever can occupy more territories, more resource points, conquer more warriors, and rob more money and treasures on the territory of all races within 3 years will be the next head of the family. Back then, your grandfather and I were just strong men in the 100 Souls realm, but we had to face many alien enemies from the 1,000 Souls realm and even the 10,000 Phantasms realm. Didn't we still defeat them? Chu Wan's strength is only at the 3rd stage of the Shira realm. In fact, he is as strong as a Viscount. He was able to become a Count purely because of his marriage to his wife. You have a shadow army in your hands, and you have a chance to fight him. The Chu family is not like our Yi family. If your father dies, the other members of the Yi family can stand up and take the lead. But if Wanjian City loses Chu Wan, it will really be like a tree falling and the Hozens will be scattered. After listening to Yi Zhe, he smiled and said, I understand, Grandpa. Don't worry, I won't give other brothers and sisters the chance to look down on me. Yi Quan looked at Yi Zhe and nodded with appreciation. Well, if you can really do it, Grandpa promises to give you another gift. Hey, Grandpa, just prepare a gift. After Yi Zhe left, the night owl came out of the darkness. Dad, is this test a little too difficult for Yi Zhe? Yi Xiao said with a helpless look. Anyway, the other party is a strong man in the Shira realm, and he also has thousands of extraordinary people on hand. Where are the soldiers? And what's the tradition you mentioned of wiping your own business? Why haven't I heard of it? Nonsense. Yi Quan glared at him and slapped his head. How could I really put my grandson in danger? Night owl. Then that tradition you're talking about. Yi Quan said lightly. Of course it is to motivate him. Of course I don't expect Xiao Yezh, a warrior in the Zan realm, to really command more than 100 shadows to defeat Chu Wan. How is that possible? Then Chu Wan, he was once a battle-hardened old fox, but he wasn't really a loser. But as long as Yi Zhe dares to do it and face it on his own, he is already ahead of other direct and collateral members of the Yi family. With his current level and age, it would not be embarrassing to lose to Chu Wan. But if he could bite off a layer of Chu Wan's skin, that would be really awesome. When he becomes the head of the family, who else will be able to gossip? Yi Quan raised her leg and kicked his butt. Stop giving me such a playful smile. Starting tomorrow, you must send someone to secretly protect Xiao Yezh. If my grandson makes the slightest mistake, I'll beat your butt. Night owl. Yi Zhe returned to the bedroom. Zero slowly appeared from the shadow. Master, what are you going to do? The city lord of Wanjian City, Chu Wan, is a swordsman in the 3rd stage of Shira realm, and he has thousands of extraordinary warriors at his disposal. In a head-on confrontation, if we don't rely on the strength of the family, we have almost no chance of winning. A faint smile appeared at the corner of Yej's mouth. Yeah, Grandpa gave me a big problem this time. If it were put in a game, it would be really hell and crazy level difficulty. Ah. What a headache. Quote. Zero didn't understand what Yi Zhe said. Although Yi Zhe said it was very troublesome. But looking at Yej's expression, why do I always feel that he is confident? Zero. Yi Zhe said. If you have the opportunity to fight Chu Wan one-on-one, what do you think your chances of winning are? Zero was silent for a moment and replied. I am at the 1st stage of the Shira realm, and Chu Wan is at the 3rd stage of the Shira realm. But if it is one-on-one, fair and absolute, my subordinates are 100% sure to win. But battles are often not fair. As the lord of Wanjian City, Chu Wan wears a lot of protective treasures. Yi Zhe nodded slightly. After all, this is a game world, and the blessing of equipment is still very important. For a character of the same level, a rich man wearing a messy pink outfit with high enhancements, enchantments, orbs, necklaces, buff pills, etc., and a commoner wearing white outfits with no enhancements, there must be a huge difference in combat effectiveness. A level 18 sword master without equipment may not be absolutely certain to win when he and a level 1 barbarian king equipped with 6 gods attack each other. In PvE, you can rely on the backboard and leapfrog the enemy without taking any damage. In PvP, it is quite difficult to defeat the local tyrants purely by relying on technology. Yesh was a player in civilian clothing in his previous life, and he had a fair say in this. I think back then, as the 10th ranked player in the world server, he fought against the top tycoon in the world server in the PvP arena. With a blue suit and a wooden stick, he forced the opponent's tycoon down for 300 times in the air. With multiple combos, the opponent was unable to move for a full 3 minutes, but in the end, he was unable to lose even 1/10 of his health. As a result, as soon as the opponent landed, a situation domineering shock knocked him out. This is why in this world, ordinary people and extraordinary people are 2 levels, and extraordinary people and nobles are 2 levels. However, it is precisely because of this characteristic that the level suppression in this game world is not as terrible as the level suppression in some novel worlds. Especially among the human race, when most people only have pink equipment, a red quality treasure may directly turn the tide of the battle on the battlefield. So, let's not worry. Let's find out how many trump cards this guy has. There are 103 people in Yeji's shadow army, almost all of whom are elite extraordinary warriors. Except for Zero, who is in the Shira realm, the other shadows are all at least strong in the Vientiane realm. On the Night Singer, there is actually another Shira realm powerhouse who can be mobilized. Although it is a one-time use. Yi Zhe took out the battle doll from the Lucky Blind box, Iron Fist Ghost Arm, from his arms. By the way, Zero, have you heard of Sun Tzu? Ling's face was full of confusion. Grandson. Yi Zhe smiled. In the past, in a certain magical plane, everyone used to fight in an upright group fight. Later, because of the appearance of a grandson, everyone was cultivated into people who did not talk about martial ethics. Lao Yin Bai. Zero was still confused. After giving birth to a grandson, everyone becomes Lao Yin Bai. Who gave birth to this grandson? Is it a vision brought about by the coming of a certain god? How could he bring such miraculous changes to the world? Wanjian City. The night falls, the cold night is gloomy. You mean, that boy from the Yi family said he wanted to deal with me on his own, without the family's help. Chu Wan looked gloomy. Snort. What an arrogant tone. Does the Yi family really look down on him? Do you think they can easily kill him by sending even one of their own Zon realm brats? What a joke. Is your information accurate? Absolutely accurate. But sir, I don't think you can be careless. A confidant knelt on the ground and said, Yi Xiao's behavior may be deliberately gilding his son. If Yi Zhe can really defeat you, it will undoubtedly be his most bragging record in the future competition for the position of head of the Yi family. But in fact, Yi Xiao must have given his son a fairly elite and large number of extraordinary troops. There may be several strong men in the Shira realm, as well as accompanying military advisors to advise him on tactics. And Yi Zhe doesn't have to do anything at all. He just has the title of leader and is a general who can throw away his hands. Chu Wan nodded. He actually thought so too. So in fact, the opponent should still be the entire Yi family. If you are really stupid enough to think that your opponent is just Yi Zhe, you will definitely be fooled. Sir, the swordsmen have been assembled. A swordsman in light armor came to Chu Wan, knelt down and reported respectfully. The 13 golden heavy swordsmen have rushed back to Wanjian City overnight. 300 elite swordsmen are also on standby in the city. Just wait for the city lord to resign. Chu Wan nodded with satisfaction. Very good. Then, he brought several of his close men with him to the secret room of the Chu family. Chu Wan stood in front of the door of the secret room with a stern expression. There was even a slight sweat on his forehead, which showed his nervousness. A confidant said from behind, Sir, do we really want to unlock the seal of that thing? Chu Wan's face turned pale. What else should we do? Our opponent is the Yi family. In a normal battle, we have no chance of winning. Quote. The confidant stopped talking. Rumble, rumble. The stone door of the secret room opened. The secret room is not big, and there is a long black sword stuck on the stone platform in the middle. The long sword is wider than the palm of your hand, as dark as night, exuding a faint black smoke. A black dragon is vaguely engraved on the hilt. Half of the sword is inserted into the stone platform, and the rest is bound by many runic iron chains. Demon sword, dark ghost dragon. Chu Wan's expression became more solemn. The expressions of the few confidants behind him were even paler. Just by being close to the sword, they could feel the terrifying evil aura of the sword. Chu Wan hesitated for a moment and came to Shite. This sword was left to him by his father. It was dug out from the ground of the 10,000 Races battlefield by chance. It is the last trump card of 10,000 Sword City. Even the Empire does not know the existence of this sword. Demon Sword Dark Soul Ghost Dragon, a golden quality weapon. This is a weapon that truly possesses the spirit of a weapon. It is said that this sword has the soul of an evil demon dragon sealed in it. This demon dragon will never surrender to anyone easily, so it is a pity that no one in this world can really control it yet. Even if Chu Wan, a strong man in the Shira realm, wants to use it, he must make a soul transaction with the ghost dragon and sell his 100-year lifespan to it in exchange for the power to temporarily use it. Even so, there is still a risk that the soul will be devoured by the ghost dragon and become completely crazy and turn into a monster. If he wasn't desperate, Chu Wan would never want to use this magic sword. If you are not careful, you will be doomed. Chu Wan stretched out his hand nervously and grasped the hilt of the magic sword inserted in the stone platform. The black energy instantly dispersed and lingered, and you could faintly hear the rustling and indescribable whispers coming from the magic sword. Quote. After hesitating again and again, Chu Wan shook his head and let go of his hand. Grown-ups. At this time, another confidant came over and said, "Sir, the 9 Emperor Goddess Long Ying is here." Chu Wan was suddenly shocked. Why do people from the royal family come? Where is she? Don't let her get close to the secret room. Chu Wan looked serious. If only the royal family knew about the existence of the magic sword. That's incredible. Don't worry, sir, his subordinate said. Her Highness Long Ying is waiting in the living room. After hearing this, Chu Wan breathed a sigh of relief. After a while, Chu Wan left the secret room, came to the reception hall, and met Long Ying. The 9 Emperor Goddess Long Ying is a girl who is only 12 years old. Her face is already very beautiful, with a delicate nose, pure eyes, and a graceful and elegant temperament. It is rumored that this princess has extraordinary talents and is the most beloved daughter of the 2nd Emperor. She has reached the level of heaven at the age of 12, and is already quite mature mentally. She has even been on the battlefield of thousands of races and once had 100 steps. He has an amazing record of capturing monsters in the 100-soul realm with just one move. Chu Wan came to the princess with a smile. Your Highness Long Ying, I didn't expect you to come to Wanjian City in person. I wonder why. Long Ying was sitting on a chair, her pink lips slightly open, blowing on a bowl of tea. She wore a large black dragon-patterned trench coat, which covered her petite and fragile body. Her soft little face was like the most expensive and beautiful jade in the world, and her clear eyes contained a calmness and gentleness that did not belong to her age. Beside her stood 2 tall imperial guards. There is no doubt that they are all top players. It's nothing. The noble girl's voice was as soft and sweet as wind chimes. It's just that my father wanted me to see if City Lord Chu is ready to go to war with the Yi family. This. Chu Wan hesitated. Of course it's done. It seems that the royal family really wants to use his conflict with the Yi family to test the true strength of the Yi family. The 2nd Emperor seems to really care about the existence of the Yi family. The Yi family has been involved with the dark race in the past few years. My father said that they often have ulterior deals with the dark race in private, but the Empire has never caught any substantial evidence of them. Long Ying said. Father said that if you can get rid of the Yi family this time, he will give you a lighter sentence for smuggling soul crystals. And the Empire will not interfere in the war between your 2 families. I hope you can try hard. Chu Wan said. Old minister understands. Long Ying said. By the way, I heard that Yeezy, the young master of the Yi family, has said that he wants to resolve the matter between you and him personally, and he won't rely on the family to take action. Yes, I also heard about this news. Chu Wan curled his lips, but I think this is just a trick of the Yi family to gild the young master. Long Ying nodded slightly. Maybe so. I heard that Yeezy was selected by Principal Lan Mi of the Imperial War College and has become Principal Lan Mi's personal disciple. Chu Wan said. That's right. Long Ying was silent for a moment, then said faintly, back then, I also studied at the Zan College. Unfortunately, I only received the rating of monster before I left, and was not able to become the direct student of the legendary principal. Chu Wan smiled and flattered. Your Highness Long Ying, you are a noble princess. If Principal Lan Mi accepts you, he will definitely feel a lot of pressure and will not be able to teach you too strictly. Otherwise, with your talent, how is it possible that I can't become a direct student? Long Ying said nothing, but she knew that it was definitely not the reason. She had read many legendary stories about the principal when she was a child, so she once admired Lan Mi, the legendary top human race expert, from the bottom of her heart. When she chose to enter the Zan Academy, she also wanted to have the opportunity to study under this legendary strongman. Not being able to become Lan Mi's direct student has always been a regret in her heart. I originally thought that the principal no longer wanted to accept students, so he didn't choose to accept her. However, later she heard the news that Yeezy had become a direct student. Long Ying wanted to know what was so special about Yeezy that he could be chosen by the principal. A few days later, Chu Wan thought that since the Yi family had announced their intention to attack Wanjian City, they would attack at lightning speed. So these past few days, Chu Wan has been huddled in Wanjian City, not leaving the house, not doing family business, and being nervous all day long, keeping his extraordinary warriors on standby at any time, preparing to face this family battle. Great War. But after several days in a row, there was no movement at all from the Yi family. There is absolutely no intention of attacking. This day, Yeezy came to the Zan Academy to study as before. Today is an open class for the principal. Although it is an open class, the students who can enter the class here are only the students with the 4 ratings of Genius, Excellence, Monster, and Direct Disciple among the inner students. In the Zan Academy, students with a Genius rating have the opportunity to enter the principal's open class once a year. Students with an excellent rating can enter the principal's open class once every 6 months, and students with a monster rating can attend once a month. Needless to say, Yeezy, a direct student, went to the principal's bedroom for private lessons every day. The happiest person in this class today is Xia Xiao, because she can be in the same classroom with her little bamboo horse again. Yeezy sat in the front row of the large classroom, with Xia Xiao on the left and Gao Shenzhu on the right. As students of the monster class, they could only sit in the second row, but because of Yeezy, they had the principal's permission, which made many other noble students look at them with jealousy and envy. The open class has not officially started yet. Principal Lan Mi has not yet arrived in the classroom, so the large classroom seems a little noisy. Yeezy sat quietly in the first row, holding a pen in his hand and writing some kind of formula for casting supernatural powers in a notebook. Xia Xiao sat next to him and looked at it for a while with her hands on her chin, but she found that she couldn't understand it at all. The girl looked a little confused. She was curious about what the things in Yeezy's book were. Those strings of complex characters formed one formula after another that she had never seen before. This seems to be a special formula that fuses 2 different elements of skills together to form a new skill. Xia Xiao discovered that she knew every character written in Yeezy's notebook. All those characters were taught by Zan Academy, even to students in ordinary classes. But with so many messy characters put together, it looks like a Bible. Although they are all students studying at the Zan Academy, why do I always feel that everything Yeezy writes is so difficult to understand? It's almost as if she didn't study in the same world. Long Ying also came to Zan College today. Under the protection of 2 imperial guards in black, she arrived at the large classroom where the principal held an open class. "You 2 are waiting outside," Long Ying said in a calm voice. "I don't want to cause too much commotion." Yes. The 2 guards retreated silently. Long Ying walked into the large classroom from the back door. Long Ying was also a student of the Zan Academy. According to the Academy's regulations, returning students also have the right to come in and take public classes. Monster-level students will still retain their monthly lecture rights. Of course, if you don't come to listen to it after the expiration date, it will be regarded as giving up and it will not be saved there. She did not appear with her real appearance. At this time, she was disguised using the art of disguise, so no one recognized her. Otherwise, as the 9th princess of the Qin Empire, her arrival will definitely cause a lot of commotion. This is not what she wants. Long Ying stood in the last row of the large classroom, scanning the entire classroom with a pair of pure eyes. Soon I saw Yeezy sitting in the first row. He is Yeezy. He looks pretty good. But why are there 2 other girls beside him? Isn't the first row reserved for the principal's direct descendants? Long Ying pondered for a while, without thinking too much, and calmly sat down in the last row. She was the only student in this row, and most of them cherished the opportunity of open classes, so of course they were fighting to get ahead. But she came here today just to see what was so special about this demonized young master of the Yi family that he was able to make the legendary principal admit him into the inner gate despite exceptions. Xia Xiao stood next to Yej and watched him write for a while, feeling that it was really boring. The girl lay down on the table, pursed her lips and looked at Yeezy's side face. She finally had the opportunity to sit together in class, but as a result, her top student Xiaozuma only knew how to write by herself. She ignored him at all. She didn't accompany him either. She deserted. However, Xia Xiao couldn't directly disturb Yi Zhe. So she had to keep changing her posture next to her, as if she was suffering from ADHD. Sometimes she accidentally touched Yi Zhe's thigh with her thigh, and sometimes she accidentally touched Yi Zhe's arm with her elbow, trying every possible means to attract the little bamboo horse's attention. Finally, Yi Zhe's hand holding the pen, accidentally, touched Xia Xiao's little nose. Yi Zhe was stunned for a moment, then turned around and saw that Xia Xiao was lying on his hand with her head sideways, a pair of moving and beautiful eyes looking at him flickeringly. Because she was lying on her side on the table and squeezing her slightly deformed face, not only did she not weaken her beauty, makes her look even cuter. What's wrong? It's nothing. Xia Xiao stuck out her tongue. You write your own, I'm just lying down for a while, By the way, I appreciate the magical appearance of my little bamboo horse. Quote. Yi Zhe continued to lower his head and write on his hand, but Xia Xiao next to him kept staring at him so directly, which always made him feel weird, and he couldn't help but glance at her from time to time. Gao Shenzhou also leaned over at this time and looked at the contents of Yej's notebook. Are you researching new supernatural powers? Yes. The pen in Night Singer flew between his fingers. Although a person with superpowers can only control one related superpower, there are thousands of different possibilities for subsequent superpower development. Quote. For example, if a person with superpowers has the ability to control temperature, some people will develop skills that can cause enemies to suddenly spontaneously combust. Some people will develop skills that can cause their opponents to lose temperature and freeze. Some people will use temperature to enter other extraordinary professions, such as make your magic fireball chant faster and more powerful. And Yi Ji's ability is quite special. He has the ability to copy other people's skills and adaptively change them into dark versions. Copying means learning, changing to a dark version means innovation. Therefore, Yej's current ability to learn skills and innovate will also be enhanced because of this ability. Gao Shenzhou is also an absolute top female student. Of course she can understand the formulas written in Yej's notes. You know, in the game plot, she is a top inventor who combines magic, immortality and technology to create various psychic and soul energy weapons. After Gao Shenzhou read the formula, he understood Yi Ji's intention. Do you want 3 skills and 2 different elements to merge with each other? Yes. Yi Zhe nodded. Gao Shenzhou. The fusion of lightning and fireball can indeed increase the ballistic speed of the fireball, but fire and thunder are relatively violent elemental attributes. It is too risky for you to do this, and you cannot stabilize the energy they generate. Yi Zhe. It's because their attributes are relatively strong, so once they fuse and repel each other, the explosion will definitely be several times more powerful than the original one with only one element. Gao Shenzhou glanced at him. But if you do this, I'm afraid the skill will explode on the spot when it condenses in the palm before it is chanted, and it is easy to hurt yourself. Yi Zhe nodded and added a few more strokes to the formula. So, I want to add a little more dark elements to it, so that fire and thunder can coexist for a short time under the wrap of dark elements, and the 2 elements are mutually exclusive for a long time. Delay for about 3 seconds. Gao Shenzhou raised her hand to smooth back the hair around her ears, and said lightly, if that's the case, then I suggest you try this formula. Next to her, Xia Xiao's eyes were full of mosquito coil coils. Halo.jpg. What are the 2 of them talking about? Why can't I understand at all? After getting Gao Shenzhou's advice, Yej immediately came up with several good ideas. He recorded a few more entries in his notebook, planning to give it a try when he gets a chance to go back. At this time, Gao Shenzhou took out a banana from the school bag in the drawer, peeled off the skin, and handed it to Yeji's mouth, opening her lips slightly to indicate. Ah, song of the night. Yeezy blushed, quickly looked around, and whispered, there are too many people watching here, I will eat after class is over. No, Gao Shenzhou looked at him with calm eyes. You need to supplement your nutrition to have the strength to think about problems. Her voice was soft and plain, but full of an irresistible firmness, just like a gentle and patient mother staring at a child who eats unconsciously. Song of the night. It doesn't matter, it won't affect you. Gao Shenzhou. I will peel it for you, and you can continue writing your stuff. You just need to stick out your neck and eat it in one bite. That's not the problem at all. Yi Zhe complained secretly in his heart. There are so many people in this place. In the past, when I was in the regular class, there were only about 30 people, so forget it. There are more than 300 people in this large classroom. Moreover, sitting in the corner before, not many people may have noticed. But now he is sitting in the front row. And as Lan Mi's direct student, he has received a lot of attention in the academy, and he must be stared at by countless pairs of eyes. Gao Shenzhou brought the peeled white tender banana to his mouth. Yesh felt quite ashamed. When he thought that there might be many people watching around him, his face felt as if he had a rash and was unbearably hot. But I could only bite the bullet and take a bite of the soft rice that brought Miyuki Mommy to my mouth. Oh no, I ate the soft banana. There seemed to be a faint whisper behind him. From the corner of his eye, he seemed to see someone in the back row pointing at him. Quote. Yeji's toes were already digging into the floor. Seeing this, Sha Xiao's eyes suddenly lit up, and she whispered to Gao Shenzhou, Shui, do you have anything else to eat? Let me feed it too. We can feed it together, one on the left and the other on the right. Song of the night. Yes. Gao Shenzhou's hand passed around Yiji's belly from under the table and handed an orange to Sha Xiao. Come on, baby Xiao Yi. Sha Xiao brought a piece of peeled orange meat to Yiji's mouth with a smile. Open your mouth, ah. Yi Zhe was helpless. Don't make trouble. Sha Xiao suddenly looked sad after hearing this, her cute little face fell, and she muttered, you only eat what Shuer feeds, not what I feed. Forget it, I understand. It doesn't matter, I understand, there is a gap between Qingmei, and you don't need to comfort me. Really, I'm fine, I just go back and hide in bed and cry. Anyway, I'm very strong. Quote, Song of the night. After a set of combos, Yesh gave up on the spot. Yesh opened her mouth again and ate the orange petals between Sha Xiao's white fingers. The vague whispering behind them seemed to be getting louder again. Quote. Yesh lowered his head and dug out 3 rooms and 1 living room with his toes on the ground. At this time, Gao Shenzhou peeled a new banana and took it from the right. Ah, Sha Xiao did not hesitate to give in. She peeled off an orange segment again with her green fingers and handed it to the left side of Yeji's mouth. Ah, Yi Zhe, that's enough for you too. Long Ying sat in the last row with her arms folded in front of her chest, quietly observing Yi Zhe's every move. She looked at the movements of Yi Zhe, Gao Shenzhou, and Sha Xiao, and felt a little confused. What are they doing? At this time, the legendary principal Lan Mi finally walked in from outside with high heels. All the students in the large classroom suddenly fell silent and looked at this legendary figure in the empire respectfully. Yi Zhe breathed a sigh of relief. If Lan Mi didn't come again, he would probably scratch the floor. Lan Mi stood on the podium, his lazy and charming aqua blue eyes roughly scanning the entire large classroom. Lan Mi quickly spotted Long Ying sitting in the last row. In the eyes of those in the apocalypse realm, her disguise is certainly not worth mentioning. Although Lan Mi saw through it, he didn't say anything. He just raised the corner of his mouth with a faint smile, and then started class. The number of students ranging from genius to monster this year seems to be more than before. Lan Mi smiled and said, I hope you won't disappoint me too much. With a lift of her slender fingers, a piece of chalk flew up out of thin air, and then she quickly wrote the 4 words, War of all races, on the blackboard. The War of all races has begun tens of millions of years ago. After the end of every era, many old civilizations and races will disappear, and more new civilizations and races will appear. As students at the Zan College, I believe that all of you are familiar with these 4 words. You may even be overly familiar with them. As students of the Zhanjiang Academy, you have probably heard these words countless times since you were young. You are the hope of the future of the human race. You will dominate the battlefields of extraordinary beings in the future. In the future you will represent mankind and conquer all nations. Clan. But I don't think you little guys really understand war. Lan Mi narrowed his eyes and looked at everyone. War is complicated. It is not like the fights of your children. You fight when you say it, and it is over after you say it. War includes combat power on paper, as well as strategies and costs, morale, intelligence, money, grief. Thousands of years of war among all races have basically divided the major races on the territory of all races into two camps. One is the light camp, headed by the gods, representing the human race, the spirit race, the demon race, the saint race, the beast race, the elves, the sea race, the fire race, the rock race, the dragon race, etc. One is the dark camp, headed by the demons, represented by vampires, nightmares, nightgaunts, ghouls, werewolves, fallen angels, etc., known as the dark race. At the same time, there are also many neutral races, such as Zerg, giants, etc. The two camps have been fighting for more than 10,000 years. Of course, there are often conflicts and wars between the same camps, but whenever they encounter large-scale battles on all fronts, the races of the two camps will still stand together. The human race is a very young race. So far, the human race has only appeared on the map of all races for only 300,000 years, and the civilization system has only appeared less than 10,000 years ago. Among all races, there are many races with higher civilization systems. Almost all of the top 10 races among all races have a civilization history of at least hundreds of millions of years. These highly civilized races possess powerful extraordinary weapons and biological armor. It has survived the war of tens of thousands of races and the Great Destruction, and possesses supercells that have evolved for hundreds of millions of years. Compared with them, human beings are like inconspicuous dust and gravel in history. The oldest races are naturally the gods and demons. It is said that these two races have existed since the beginning of the world's chaos. It's just that after the gods severely damaged the demons in ancient times, they rarely showed up on the map of the tribes, and spent most of their time in the god realm. But even so, the gods still have the ability to command all races. If the gods want to issue a divine decree, they will give it to their most loyal servants, the demi-humans, who will then give the instructions to other races in the light camp. The dark races are the demon blood races that are still unwilling to obey the orders of the gods. In war, all levels, weapons, equipment, and mounts and beasts are actually just your strength on paper. Lan Mi said on the podium, but no matter how strong your paper strength is, it is your brain that is used after all. So there will be one more uncertain factor in the war, strategy. In the history of wars among all races, there have been many battles in which the weak defeated the strong. In the Battle of Skyrim, the Yu clan, which was only 1,000,000 years old, defeated the sacred and sacred people with hundreds of millions of years of history and various high-end weapons. The angel civilization of technological armor was the result of the arrogance of the queen of the angel race back then. The founding emperor of our human empire once led an army of 100,000 with the strength of the Holy Land to defeat the leader, who was in the Soul Emperor realm with 30 a foreign enemy with thousands of armies. Yi Zhe listened quietly, while Gao Shenzhou and Sha Xiao beside her were also taking notes carefully. However, this may not be the case for other noble children. These noble children have heard these stories about the war between all races since they were young. If the principal's open class is just for ordinary war history classes, then their class would be too wasteful. Principal, in fact, strategies and other things are only used when the strength is insufficient, right? A boy sitting in the fifth row suddenly said carelessly, as long as strength crushes the enemy, strategy means nothing, or is it just nonsense? No matter how smart and tactical the ants are, how can they defeat the elephant? And I am the man who wants to be the elephant. After the boy said these words, he showed a triumphant expression, seeming to be still proud of his unique insights. However, he soon discovered that there was no applause around him. The entire classroom was silent, and the students around him had almost no expressions. No one answered his words or laughed at him. The boy's smile froze on his face, and he felt a little embarrassed for no reason. It would be okay if he continued to laugh, and it would be okay if he stopped laughing. He had just passed the examination and entered the inner sect recently, and this was his first public class with the principal. In the past, when he was in the ordinary class, if he said such a sentence in class, many classmates would definitely applaud him, but now that he is here, he suddenly feels a little uncomfortable. The boy shrank his neck, not knowing what he said wrong. Long Ying folded her arms in the last row and glanced at the boy lightly. This boy's position is in the 5th row, which means that his talent is at least rated excellent. If you are in a regular class, this phenomenon may not be surprising. After all, in the eyes of these top geniuses, those in the ordinary class are still ordinary people. But I didn't expect that in such an elite open class, there would still be people who said such things. Lan Mi looked at the boy, raised the corner of his mouth slightly, and said, "Actually, you were right, no matter how powerful the ant is, it is impossible to bring down the elephant. But the premise of this is that you are invincible when you were born. But obviously, you are not, because you are human, and among all races, we humans are ranked 93 road. It's a pity that no one can look down on all living beings from the moment he is born. Some people may envy the gods. But you definitely don't know that the gods and demons were once weak, and they were also beings nurtured by the universe. They evolved from the weakest creatures, and they only stood out from tens of thousands of races in the super ancient civilization wars billions of years ago, and became the gods they are today." Lan Mi looked at the boy with a smile but not a smile. "And you, as an elephant, are not afraid of ants, but in fact you are just enjoying the shadow left by the evolution of your predecessors. The predecessors gave you extraordinary talents and gave you superior extraordinary genes, your parents gave you a good family background, left you money, status, power, treasures, and fed you all kinds of messy upgrade elixirs since childhood. So many cheats can give you the result that strength can crush the weak. I just want to know, apart from the cheats others gave you, what else have you created yourself that others can't do?" Quote. The boy said nothing, with an embarrassed look on his face. Long Ying, who was sitting in the last row, looked enlightened after hearing these words. He is worthy of being a legendary top transcendent in the empire. As a member of the royal family, Long Ying was deeply touched after hearing this. As the 9th emperor's daughter, she is currently one of the most talented among the royal family's children, but talent can only be used as a weapon, and those who use weapons are people after all. In the royal family, talent is indeed important, but if there is no brain worthy of one's own talent, it will be the result of mismatch of virtue will lead to disaster. In the cruelly competitive royal family, if a prince has a talent that others are extremely envious of, but does not have the corresponding brains, then your death will be worse than that of ordinary people. There are only 3 results waiting for you. Either die, have your soul controlled and become a puppet, or have your talent taken away. Long Ying didn't know how many geniuses he had seen, but they all died on the way to growth and development. Each of these nobles who were born with a silver spoon in their mouths thinks that they are the protagonists of the world, and that the whole world will revolve around them and make way for them like a cool novel. But unfortunately, reality will give them a direct blow. Lan Mi smiled playfully. "So I said it at the beginning, I don't think you little guys really understand war. You noble children, you have read through the War of All Races since you entered the Zan Academy and used quick memory, you can recite the spells and what each race has gone through in its rise, but you don't understand the significance of reading these chronicles of civilizations of all races. Listen, you ignorant, poor little guys. You are all core students of the Zan Academy, and you have always been regarded as the future of the empire and the future of mankind. As the principal, what I hope you will do in the future is not to rely on your strong strength to crush the weak, but to rely on your strong strength to target more powerful enemies. Do the following." Lan Mi narrowed his eyes slightly and glanced at all the students in the large classroom. "I will expect that there will be one among you who is an ant but can bring down the elephant." A long time later, Yeezy had left the Zan Academy, and his relationship with Lan Mi was no longer that of teacher and student. But Lan Mi's words have been deeply engraved in his mind forever. Yeezy didn't expect that today's open class would be about war, and he was indeed facing a war now. After this class, many new ideas came to his mind. He wrote them all silently in his notebook. But unfortunately, the level of his opponent this time was far from the level of an ant or an elephant. "Okay, now comes the main topic of this class," Lan Mi continued. I just said that you little guys don't understand war at all. So this class is to let you feel the real war and the pain of the world. The students in the large classroom looked at each other in confusion, not understanding what the principal meant. How to feel? Lan Mi said. For a while, then turned around and looked around among the students in the classroom. Let's find someone to demonstrate. Hey, Yeezy, it's you who decides. Song of the night. Yeezy felt that Lan Mi was just pretending as he turned around and looked around among the students in the classroom. No matter what, you will definitely choose him, right? Yeezy stood up and walked to the podium. Okay, now we still need an opponent. Lan Mi said with a smile. By the way, that boy just now, I think you must still feel unconvinced. Come on, come up, I will give you a chance to prove yourself. Quote. The boy who just heard this quickly waved his hand. No, no. Don't deny it. Lan Mi pondered. It is not easy for people to change their minds. However, no idea in this world is necessarily wrong. If you want to prove yourself, it is useless to just rely on being unconvinced in your heart. Oh. Quote. After hearing this, the boy was silent for a while, finally gritted his teeth, stood up, and walked to the podium. Don't be nervous, it's just a game. But after playing this game, most of you may never want to play it again. Lan Mi said, raising her white and slender fingers and tapping them gently in the air. A dazzling light group slowly appeared in front of the two people. The name of the game is actually War, which is the most realistic war. This is a large-scale illusion. Both of you will be thrown into a war world. As the leaders of the two countries, each of you will be given a certain amount of warriors. Keep your current knowledge and strength and let you fight. Quote. After listening to Yeezy, I thought to myself, hey guys, is this really a real-time strategy game? After listening to the rules, Long Ying was thoughtful. I see. It seems quite interesting. Lan Mi looked at the boy. By the way, what's your name? The boy raised his chest and replied, Tang Shan. His strength is at the 7th level of the Earth realm. Lan Mi nodded. Yeezy's strength is at the 8th stage of the Zan realm. On paper, you are slightly higher than him. But in order to make your strength comparison more like ants and elephants, I will give you 500,000 extraordinary warriors and 30 million ordinary people. As for Yeezy, I will only give him 3 extraordinary warriors and 50 ordinary people at the beginning. Song of the night. Tang Shan was stunned for a moment, thinking he heard wrongly. Ah! Everyone in the big classroom was shocked when they heard this, including Sha Xiao, Gao Shenzhu, and Long Ying in the last row. The corners of Yeji's mouth twitched slightly. Good guy. The last time, he was asked to kill 3 heavenly realm dolls in one move with a mysterious realm. This time it happens again. One hell at a time. His teacher really went out of his way to give him difficult problems. The time you two can spend in the illusion is not limited, even if it is 10 years, 20 years, 100, or 1000 years, it doesn't matter. 1 year in the illusion will only be equal to 1 minute in reality. Lan Mi added. By the way, after entering the virtual illusion world, although you will retain your existing knowledge and strength, you will lose the memory of this world. In other words, you will completely immerse yourself in the game. Characters. You will not regard this as a game, but as real life, and truly feel the despair and pain in war. Tang Shan gritted his teeth. Okay, I get it. Tang Shan understood that the principal would directly give him such a big advantage, which meant that the principal really looked down on him. After all, he is also an extraordinary person with 2 SS-level learning abilities, controlling ghosts and magic. How can you be looked down upon like this? How could Lan Mi not see what Tang Shan was thinking? She smiled. If you can win, among the resources distributed to you by the college next month, you will be rewarded with 10 more spirit-gathering pills. Tang Shan's eyes lit up. Really? But if you lose with such a big advantage at the beginning? Lan Mi changed the topic and said leisurely, it means you are far from reaching the level of the inner sect. You will be expelled from the inner sect and rushed back to the ordinary class. Quote. When Tang Shan heard the words, rush back to the regular class, his heart suddenly trembled. He was trained by the family at a huge cost, and the family put a lot of effort into sending him to the inner gate of the Zan Academy. If he was expelled from the inner sect, he couldn't even imagine the consequences. But with such a huge gap, how could he lose? Tang Shan comforted himself in his heart, and then said, "Okay." Lan Mi nodded. "In that case, you all come to this white light group. Reach out and touch the light group, and you will enter the world of illusion." Yeezy and Tang Shan both walked in front of the dazzling white light ball. Lan Mi put his hand gently on Yeji's shoulder, and said to him softly through the sound transmission method, "After you return to reality, all the memories you have experienced in the illusion can be inherited. This is someone else's daughter. It's a rare opportunity, so seize it." Yeezy nodded slightly. Yes. He understood what Lan Mi meant. Experience is the most precious thing. Yeezy stretched out his hand and slowly touched the white ball of light. In an instant, dazzling white light filled his consciousness. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.